Good afternoon and welcome, everyone, to the 2023 commencement exercises of the Roper City and Country School. My name is Christopher Federico, my pronouns are he, him, and I am honored and privileged to be Roper's head of school. Honored, privileged, and a little apprehensive. For while this is the 54th such ceremony for the Roper School, it is obviously the first one for me as its head, which is daunting in itself, but also that in typical Roper fashion, I have been given a great deal of autonomy and rather little guidance in composing my remarks for today. This is rightly an incredibly important day for everyone here. It's a one-shot deal, and you are wondering whether the new guy is going to get it right. Well, I am wondering if I'm going to use some arcane Canadian expression that none of you will understand. Add to that the fact that more than one member of the Board of Trustees is here today to see their own children graduate, as is my own indispensable assistant, who has on more than one occasion admonished me not to blow it. And you will see why I might be feeling just a little pressure. Two things have helped me relieve that pressure a little bit. First is that, again, this being Roper, I knew that if push came to shove, I could always just cancel the whole thing and we could all go out for ice cream. The second is that in my researches, I came across the speech given by George at the first ever commencement exercises 54 years ago, and was reassured, as you will be, that his speech ran only slightly over 2 double-spaced typewritten pages. So now I had some direction. Keep it short, and avoid talking about toonies, Tim Hortons, or toques, and I'd be fine. If obscure Canadian references are off limits, however, a little Latin never is. So a true, if nerdy fact, gleaned from my own many years of independent school Latin, that the word student isn't really connected to schooling at all, but is actually the present participle of the verb studeo, studera, studui, studitum, which means to be eager, which seems like the right descriptor for this group. For although I have not been in a position to see all the things that these students have done over their many collective years at Roper, in fact, I've really only had the opportunity to be up close and personal with them over the past 10 months, I have been in this business long enough to know that they didn't get to where they are now and do all the things about which we are about to hear without being eager to do a lot of work, seek out a wide and varied array of experiences, take risks, and build friendships and connections, and that their parents, family, friends, and teachers were eager to support them in doing it. To graduate, on the other hand, means to take a step, to proceed upwards or forwards, away from something and towards something else. Although a graduation is a time to celebrate, it is also in some ways a moment of unease, as in taking that step, we leave behind us what is familiar to advance into the unknown. It is an occasion for us both to reflect on an investment of time and to contemplate its future returns. And we indeed have a group in front of us who have been, and I have no doubt will continue to be, eager to take steps. From those first tentative, wobbly, literal steps that carried some of them through the doors of the domes or the Hill House, to the steps they have taken to advance their own knowledge by navigating a course through the unique educational experience that is Roper, and from the steps they have taken to rebuild community and spirit, to the steps that they are about to take into college and that part of the world that lies beyond the Roper campus. Graduates, and looking back on your time at Roper and in contemplating your next steps, I offer you the same thought that George did to that first Roper graduating class. Although it is more than 50 years ago, it is no less apropos today. You may be immensely successful. You may have failed. Regardless, you will have an outlook towards life that is open-minded, progressive, more understanding, and accepting of differences among human beings. You will be intolerant of ruthless, inhuman cruelty, and I hope intolerant of violence of any kind. You will feel passionate about justice and rights of the individual and fight injustices, racism, and narrow-minded bigotry. Roeper families, I thank you for trusting us with your children. Roeper graduates of the class of 2023, I congratulate you. I thank you for enriching the ever-evolving community that is Roeper, and I wish you every success in your endeavors to come. Just keep your sticks on the ice. It is now my pleasure to introduce Peter Roeper to share the founder's family message.
Hello. I'm Peter Roeper, and thank you for inviting me as a member of the Roeper family to this graduation ceremony. It is fitting for this occasion to occur in the synagogue, as my mother, Anna Marie Roeper, was from a secular Jewish family, and my father went to the school run by her parents. Her family had a complicated relationship with their Jewish past. As was the case with many German Jewish families, my mother's family preferred to minimize their Jewish background. My mother learned that she was Jewish only in her teens. This heritage, however, this Jewish heritage, has played a role in my parents' thinking about the world and education. My parents were principally humanist, a philosophical approach to life which includes many Jewish values. Humanism sees human beings as having dignity, individuality, and agency, and being the central source of values, ethics, and justice. From these views flow a commitment to an equitable, diverse society based on human rights. Humanism is an optimistic view that with a combination of individual and collective human capabilities, the world's problems can be addressed. For my parents, humanism is a secular perspective that does not rely on religion, miracles, mystical thinking, or blindly following some charismatic leader. What it does rely on is human capacity for rational, critical thinking and the ability to look at the world logically and with reason to make decisions based on facts and evidence. One faces facts, one does not make them up. Developing critical thinking skills, as my parents understood, is essential to learning and can provide you with a sense of wonderment about the world and style of thinking that is of lifelong benefit. Critical thinking is central to humanism and seeing the world clearly with a firm basis for one's perspectives. Such thinking is not just a technique that one applies to solve problems or issues of science, but also an approach to life, a style of always wondering why, always asking questions, always seeking more answers, and relying on your intellect to interpret the world. Critical thinking is also essential to working through the many ethical issues we face today and guiding one to a strong ethical foundation. Critical thinking, however, is not just a method to reach certainty. It is also crucial to understanding how the same event could be seen and experienced in many, even opposite ways. In fact, critical thinking helps us understand and appreciate that each of us has complex, changing, often inconsistent emotional lives. As we live through different experiences and emotions, we are confronted with ambivalence, ambiguity, and confusion, which can lead to anger, self-doubt, and distrust. Thinking can help us manage our way through our emotional lives and understand the emotional lives of others. Also, when we begin to grasp how other people think and feel, we foster the crucial ability of empathy, and we develop humility. These ideas, humanism, critical rational thinking, and ethics, and understanding of human psychology are central to the way my parents designed the school. Mostly they wanted, however, a school that respected people and appreciated the uniqueness of every child. They wanted their students to become citizens of the world and have fulfilling and emotional intellectual lives. So hopefully, As you move into adulthood and you are comfortable, hopefully as you move into adulthood, you are comfortable with this humanistic perspective, which will enrich your own lives and the world around you. And hopefully you will use your critical thinking skills to resist our culture's old and new shibboleths or assumptions and see the world in new ways. Hopefully you will proceed with both an ethical foundation and a willingness to permit those ethical views to change and grow with your life experiences. And hopefully you will use the experiences in the school to understand that people see and feel the world in many different ways, and that arrogance or sanctimony is less appropriate than understanding. So thank you for listening, and go forth. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I'm Julia, and this is Caitlin, and we're the senior class co-presidents. Thank you for having us.
Success is not a one-person job. We'd like to start by thanking the teachers and staff members who have poured countless invaluable hours into our academic and individual endeavors.
Thank you to all, yes. Thank you to all the parents, guardians, and family in the audience today. We are immensely grateful for your guidance. You are a huge part of our accomplishments today, and you will be a part of them for many more milestones to come.
As an aside, we'd like to thank our own moms and dads. There's no perfect way to ever express how thankful we are for your love and support.
You are our biggest cheerleaders, our North Stars, and the people we aspire to become.
Class of 2023, we all have one key thing in common, which is why we're here today. We're #gifted. I know saying #gifted sounds like a Roeper Facebook post, but being gifted is something we cherish because it's something that brings us together. When we walk off this stage, we're not leaving that trait behind. Many students we'll meet in college can identify as gifted, but only we are lucky enough to say that we're Roeper kids. Well, what we mean to say is that we're #Roeper kids.
Roeper is where we've intersected before we embark on our individual walks of life. Even though we're going our separate ways, I would caution you to never lose the Roeper kid in you. When we go off to college, I hope we all get to make friends with the people who would have fit in well with our grade. So, Caitlin and I came up with a list of ways to characterize the Roeper class of 23. We call it How to Spot a Roeper Kid.
Number 1, they want to continue to learn beyond the structure of college. Don't get me wrong, higher education will greatly contribute to your success. But learning doesn't stop when you get your degree, just like it doesn't stop today. Roeper kids are lifelong learners. You are all motivated to learn for more than just a good grade.
Number 2, they have eclectic and encompassing passions. From poetry to car repair to philosophy to dance, the class of 23 that has proven that once we gain an interest, we pursue it relentlessly. As someone who avidly reads the Roeper record, I am constantly in awe of the things you accomplish within your passions. Roeper kids put in the time and effort to achieve their desired results without fail. We've seen this firsthand by watching our friends build award-winning robots, take action for their beliefs, and outrace their opponents to the finish line.
Number 3, they're open-minded and non-judgmental. We are taught at Roeper to listen to each other. That has led to productive conversations, and it has contributed to our own growth as citizens of the world. I've found that whether you're interested in the history of Valentine's Day or in literary techniques of surrealist poetry, you can find someone here to talk about it with you. That's the thing about Roeper kids. They'll engage in conversations with you as if they were experts in the field.
Number 4, they're caring. Roeper students react with compassion and empathy. We are all trying to help each other succeed. I know that any one of you would take a few minutes of your time to help explain a math problem, a question on a lab report, or proofread a college essay. You care about the world beyond the walls of our school. You take action for the causes you care about instead of remaining complacent. You've done work ranging from fundraising for disease research to writing advocacy letters to Michigan senators. I hope this active attitude towards justice sticks with you. The world of tomorrow needs it. There you have it, your guide on how to spot a Roeper kid. Now that our future as graduates has gone from being an out there concept into a pressing reality, we can say that we are profoundly grateful for the privilege of growing up here.
All the positive memories we've created, the photos we've taken, and the videos that make us cringe will never truly leave us. To quote John Green, who I'm sure we're all familiar with from late night cramming crash course videos before an exam, we're on a roller coaster that only goes up, my friends.
If you went on shivering timbers on the senior trip, it sure felt that way. But I take this quote to remember to live life on the bright side. We're saying goodbye today, but there are great things behind us as well as ahead, and that is something to be grateful for. Congratulations, Roeper Class of 2023.
When I sent out an email 2 weeks ago to a group of upper school students to see if any of them would help us chaperone a 6th grade trip to the DIA rather than enjoy a day off in the middle of finals week, it was of no surprise to me that Bianca was the first person to respond, roughly 2 minutes later, saying that she had checked her schedule and would love to join us. It's rare to find a senior that would prefer a day of shepherding 11-year-olds through museums to a day off mere weeks before her high school graduation, but Bianca is that rare jewel of a human. Bianca moves through the world with a sense of wonder and openness to new experiences and ideas, and with a great love for her people, who are, luckily for us, an ever-growing group due to Bianca's kind and accepting nature. Bianca says that her transition from Detroit Waldorf to Roeper in 9th grade was eased by the opportunity for her to choose her own classes, where she could explore random and interesting sounding things that had never occurred to her that she'd love and excel at, like chemistry nomenclature and learning to carve block printing plates. Bianca is curious and inquisitive, French teacher Michael McConville says. The quest is much too exciting and fulfilling for her to worry about something as banal as the final grade. I've seen this firsthand as Bianca has taken almost every art class that I offer. She relishes learning new techniques to use with fibers, clay, and in printmaking, and losing herself in creating piece after gorgeous piece. According to her mom, Justa, Bianca also loves playing the piano and violin. She has a love for working to create beautiful things, she says. Justa could just as well be speaking about Bianca's ability to create beautiful relationships with all kinds of people, especially those younger than her. Her family is close-knit and frequently has gatherings where Bianca happily creates programming for her 14 younger cousins when they all camp out in the basement, playing scary games in the dark and roasting marshmallows together. The love that Bianca has for her cousins and siblings Jude and Noelle shone through in a piece she made in printmaking class this fall. Students started with a photo of a happy memory for a dry point etching project, a process where artists meticulously carve the details of their design into a plastic printing plate with a stylus. Bianca chose a group photo of her cousins on the bank of a river to incorporate into her piece. Although it was a small photo with so many details, Bianca carefully worked to make sure that each and every cousin was included in the finished piece. Friend Peyton Keffer's opinion of Bianca reminds me of that printmaking piece. I think Bianca's best qualities are how caring she is and how kind and funny she is, Peyton shared. She is warm and kind, but also very devoted to things that are important to her. It's no wonder that Bianca was such a natural fit as one of our chaperones at the 6th grade camp this fall, where she amassed a group of small admirers who were charmed by what friend Julia Raphael calls Bianca's patient leadership, which shines through in her interactions in academics. She's incredibly kind and understanding. When I asked my 6th grade homeroom for Bianca stories to put in this speech, I heard numerous replies of, "Bianca? We love Bianca. She's so awesome." When I read the responses from Bianca's family and friends to my questions to help write this speech, it was so clear to me how deeply Bianca is loved, and she loves and cares for her people. I think that her brother Jude was able to sum up the essence of this very special young woman best, saying, "Bianca is a big role model for me. I often find myself thinking if I will ever live up to the great legend of Bianca. Her kindness and her willingness to learn and grow are all things that define Bianca's character and makes me want to follow her example of love." When Bianca continues her studies at University of Michigan this fall, a whole new community will get to bask in the illumination of Bianca's love. Her proud dad, Anton, predicts she will do great things in the future. To me, she is a star, the brightest star in the sky. The star is getting brighter, and she will light up the world. I'm proud to present Roeper graduate and fabulous human being, Bianca Boyai. So it's fitting that Gwen is up next after Bianca. They were born on the same day in 2005 to mothers who knew each other. They've been in school together since they were in kindergarten, going to 2 different Waldorf schools before finding their way to Roeper for high school. Next year will be the first year that Gwen and Bianca won't be in school together in a long time. But I'm here to tell you, and I'm sure that her friend Bianca agrees, that Gwen Haslett is going to be just fine. Gwen sometimes shows the world a shy demeanor, but behind it lies a sharp intellect and a dry sense of humor that people who know her well adore. People would be surprised to know that Gwen is a very talkative person, friend Caitlin Tietzel says. From the outside, she appears shy, and that couldn't be further from the truth. Gwen is hilarious, all caps. The best part about her jokes is the delivery. Gwen will drop the funniest one-liners, monotone and straight-faced. Shelley, Gwen's boss at the Space Cat Bistro, says that Gwen has a razor-sharp wit and a highly defined sense of sarcasm usually seen in someone much more worldly, adding, "I find her quiet presence to be comforting and calming in the midst of some chaotic kitchen days." It bears noting that more support for my Gwen will be just fine thesis can be found in the fact that Gwen managed to get a job at the Space Cat Bistro, a vegetarian restaurant in Ferndale, by telling the owner Shelley during her interview all about how she did not want to work in a restaurant. However, Gwen managed to get the job and has worked at the bistro for 2 years now, helping out in the kitchen with whatever tasks need to be done, has completely charmed her boss, is paid well, and kind of loves it. Gwen will be just fine. Gwen and Bianca's 16th birthday came during their 10th grade year in the thick of learning at home COVID restrictions. We decided that we were going to stay up until midnight so we could celebrate together the minute our birthday hit, Bianca says. We decided to call through Teams instead of FaceTime so that we could use the new whiteboard feature to draw together. We made our own collaborative version of Van Gogh's The Starry Night. The two friends showed resilience and creativity while finding a way to celebrate together during that challenging time, and in the process created one of Bianca's favorite memories of Gwen. Gwen will be just fine. I think Gwen's best quality is her creativity, friend Peyton says. Ever since I met her, she always has some creative hobby that she occupies herself with. Whether it be making scrunchies, crocheting, sewing, or sculpture making, she's always doing something fun or creative in her free time. Not only has Gwen taken an art class every semester of high school, sometimes two, she also loves teaching herself to use new materials and processes by watching videos on YouTube and visiting Joann's for inspiration. When asked to share her favorite Gwen memory, Kelly Teacher McDonald shared, definitely the surrealist scarf that she knitted for her final project in Modern Lit. Beyond brilliantly applying the complex aesthetics and form we studied all year, it was quite simply one of the coolest things I've ever seen. This is what I mean when I say that Gwen has a creative vision all her own. Caitlin agrees. Gwen's creativity is limitless, and I think the world would be a lot cooler if everyone was as creative and as amazing as she is. Gwen will be just fine. Boss Shelley says that between her big brain and her big heart, nothing can stop Gwen when she sets her sights on her life dream. As part of that life dream, Gwen will be attending Michigan State University in the fall, majoring in computer science and maybe video game design. She will be so much more than just fine. She will, to paraphrase Boss Shelley, show all of us what a badass she really is and will be incredible. Humans of the audience, Roeper graduate, Guinevere Haslett.
Who is Peyton Ruby Keffer? This is the question I've been asking myself since she asked me to give her senior speech. When I first met Peyton, I met a fellow musical theater nerd. Peyton would keep me updated on some of the newer popular musicals and joke with me about how much I hated Andrew Lloyd Webber's Cats. She would find a way to fit theater into any conversation and a number of her school assignments. I asked her why she enjoyed theater so much, and she told me she loved it because you get to put yourself in someone else's shoes and understand how they think. I was surprised to hear that she wasn't going to pursue theater in college, but Peyton is more than just a lover of musicals. Peyton is also an artist. Michelle Stamler had this to say about her. I had the pleasure of teaching Peyton in her first year at Roeper in my darkroom photography class, and again now in her senior year in journalism. Peyton is such a dedicated student and really is motivated to learn as much as possible. She is committed and creative, and while I know this is probably not the best thing to put into somebody's speech, she is always smiling and such a positive presence, always looking on the bright side, except when traffic is horrible on Woodward. Lately, she has been channeling her artistic creativity through crocheting. Peyton has created a shirt, a dragon, and is currently working on an elephant made entirely out of granny squares. And while she plans on taking art classes in college and may even minor in it, there is still more to Peyton. At one point, I sat her down for a conversation to get to know her better. She told me that her favorite style of music, aside from show tunes, was indie rock, and that she wanted to be a pet parent to a calico cat and a golden doodle, and that she liked to try out different things because she enjoyed the challenge. But Peyton is humble. You won't figure out who she is just by talking with her. The key to knowing Peyton is to observe her effect on others. Her compassion and empathy know no bounds. Peyton has the ability to brighten your day with a single word, hello. Without fail, whenever we see each other, I am greeted with a cheery, hi, Alex, and it puts a smile on my face. Peyton understands the power behind that simple little greeting. She uses it as a kind gesture, an invitation for dialogue, and an acknowledgement that she sees you and is here for you. Kelly McDowell proved my theory by sharing the story with me. When I was a new mom, I would put Rocco into the stroller and head to the park each day. Along the way, we would often encounter a sweet little girl playing in her yard. She would smile and greet us with a friendly hello. Little did I know that our paths would cross again years later, and that we were destined to become acquainted. That sweet little girl was Peyton, who lived right around the corner from us. We shared a laugh about it when we realized. I should have known because the kindness and light that I saw in that little girl are the same that I see in the older Peyton I now know and treasure. It makes sense now that Peyton plans to pursue psychology at Michigan State University in the fall. Her interest in understanding people, her creativity, and her compassion are perfectly suited to this important work. We will miss you, Peyton, but instead of goodbye, let's say hello. Hello to Roeper graduate Peyton Ruby Keffer.
As a new freshman at Roeper, Andrew Klein got some advice to join the soccer team as a way to make friends. Although he hesitated, unsure of his abilities, he joined the team. He never could have known what an invaluable asset he would have become as the official Roeper hype man. Andrew's love for sports, particularly baseball, has been an intrinsic part of his life. Despite his initial shyness and hesitancy, he pushed himself beyond his comfort zone, embracing new challenges with steady determination. Andrew's coach, Ed Sack, speaks highly of his dedication to teamwork, always putting the needs of his teammates above his own and making any necessary sacrifice to ensure the team's success. Over the years, he honed his skills and became an integral part of the team, including during a memorable upset over a highly ranked opponent in the district tournament. Andrew's journey from a newcomer to an asset for his team exemplifies his dedication and resilience. Michael McConville noted the tremendous growth Andrew has experienced during his time at Roeper, not just physically, he's really tall, but also in his confidence and ability to empathize with others. Andrew's involvement in Model UN has played a significant role in bolstering his self-assurance, providing him with a platform to express himself and engage in meaningful discussions with his peers. It is through Model UN that Andrew has found his voice, fearlessly speaking up and contributing to his unique perspective. Andrew's sister, Abby, knows him best and highlights his excellent sense of humor, happiness, and caring nature. Putting others before himself and ensuring everyone is having a good time are qualities that make Andrew exceptional. Abby's advice for Andrew is to stay true to himself and maintain his authenticity. Friend Evan Brode highlights Andrew's unique blend of humor, intelligence, and genuine care for others. Andrew's positivity and thoughtfulness extend beyond the sports field as he consistently takes time out of his day to check in on his friends and offer support during difficult times. Evan envisions Andrew as a future baseball manager, a role that would allow him to continue fostering camaraderie among his team. Friend Yasser also appreciates Andrew's ability to seamlessly balance humor and seriousness. Yasser acknowledges Andrew's comedic talent, but also recognizes his sense of responsibility when things are more serious. Yasser thinks Andrew might make a great politician or an ambassador one day, since he can easily focus and get his point across. Aidan Sung, another close friend, recalls their trip to Israel, where Andrew faced isolation for 6 days. Despite the challenging circumstances, Andrew remained positive and made the most of his experience. Aidan believes that Andrew's passions for sports will lead him to excel as a sports journalist, sharing his opinions and actively listening to others. Through academic challenges and the uncertainties brought on by the pandemic, Andrew's perseverance and dedication in his various teams have been a constant source of motivation and strength. He has conquered so many obstacles, always emerging stronger and more determined. Andrew's motivation lies in being a positive example for others. His desire to make a difference in the lives of those around him is a testament to his character and the values instilled in him through his time at Roeper. He was not only the team hype manager for his 9th grade soccer team, but the hype manager for us all. As Andrew embarks on his next chapter at Michigan State University's James Madison College, I have no doubt that he will continue to take risks to challenge himself and end up becoming an asset wherever he goes. Congratulations, Roeper graduate Andrew Klein.
Attention, please. It is my pleasure to introduce Zizi, the alligator wrestler. Okay, I'll explain that in a moment. True story, in fact. But first, fencing. A quick Google search of the skills required for fencing yields the following information. Fencing is a multifaceted discipline that provides a workout for the mind as well as the body. It requires focus, physical and mental strength, speed, agility, and toughness. As the fortunate teacher of Zelia Newhard, I can say that her love of fencing makes perfect sense and seems to fit her perfectly. In fact, it seems to exactly describe the student we affectionately call Zizi. My favorite of the fencing skills I discovered through my Google search is toughness. Zizi is, without question, tough. Her demeanor is stoic and self-controlled. And even while one can easily sense her enormously powerful skills, she is never quick to jump into the fray. Instead, she prefers to use her skills when and where they matter and can make a difference. She is fine to wait and to strategize and bide her time for the moment that will surely be hers. It might seem a little odd to refer to Zizi as tough, only because she is also kind, gentle, and sweet. She is the first to greet others with a smile, and she doesn't take herself too seriously. Humanity and empathy radiate from her. But I think that is exactly what toughness is, being brave enough to allow oneself to truly feel for others and tap into deep thoughts and emotions. Parents Evelyn and John elaborate, saying that Zizi has always been a unique blend of sweetness and toughness. They say that two memories come to mind. First, the alligator story. They explain, when Zizi was young, we visited Orlando, blowing off Disney and its princesses to visit Gatorland at Zizi's suggestion. There was a show where they had an alligator at the bottom of an outdoor amphitheater, and they asked for volunteers to wrestle the alligator. Zizi not only raised her hand, but there was a seamless movement where she also started walking to the bottom to wrestle the alligator. So who won? My bet's on you, Zizi. Evelyn and John also recall an early fencing lesson in which 7-year-old Zizi had to fence a teenage boy. When faced with someone twice her age and size wielding a sword, young Zizi's natural inclination was to attack, and she did. So there's the toughness. Now we will add the sweetness. Close friend Peyton says that if Zizi were an animal, she would be a bee, because like a bee, she fights with a sword. Also, she has a yellow sweater. Friends Peyton and Caitlin agree that if Zizi were a color, she would be blue. Zizi is a true blue friend. Caitlin's favorite memory of Zizi involves mini plastic babies. Yeah, that's what I said. Caitlin explains, in 9th grade, Zizi invited her friends to her house, and we made crowns out of mini plastic babies. To this day, Zizi carries mini plastic babies in her backpack. Learned something new. I did not know that. For another dash of sweetness, I turn to the words of math teacher Hassan Humadi, who wrote you a poem. To my great Zizi, congratulations on your graduation day. Your hard work has truly paid off in every way. You've studied and learned with dedication, and now you're ready for your next destination. You've gained knowledge, skills, and experience, and you're ready to make a difference. So take a moment to celebrate and enjoy this special day, for you have accomplished something great, and we are proud of you in every way. To close, I turn to the words, again, of Zizi's beloved parents, who say, so what has Zizi taught us? To trust her. Frankly, neither the alligator nor the teenage boy ever stood much of a chance. I could not agree more. Congratulations, Zelia K. Newhard, and best of luck as you pack up your mini plastic babies and set off to study, fence, and possibly wrestle alligators at Duke University.
Yasser, Yasser, Yasser. That was going to be the end of my speech, but I wrote a little bit more. There's so much to this person, it's difficult to actually know where to begin. I first met Yasser the first year I started at Roeper. It was his first year also. He was a 9th grader in my homeroom class I shared with Hale. He seemed like an energetic, intelligent, and a compassionate person. But then I got to know him. Throughout his high school career, he has tormented me with drawings of scary clowns and a very terrifying Yoda figurine. He has come into my classroom and stood behind me, silently lurking while I was teaching. He has stolen other classmates' seats, pretending that it was his, and then accused them of bullying him out of his seat. He tried to show me this insane mathematical system called the law of 1, 2, 3. I'm sure he totally made that up, but he says it's true. I haven't figured it out yet, but it's beyond me. So when he asked me to give his graduation speech, I had told him I'd be happy to, because I could make fun of him for 3 straight minutes and get my revenge. His reply to me was, that'd be funny. Then I realized, although Yasser has that fun-loving, outward persona, his superpower is his ability to know people and make them feel at ease and share his light with us all. He knows I will not make fun of him for 3 straight minutes, 2 maybe. He knows that I care about him and want to share his awesomeness with all of you. Sarah Mendez told me that Yasser is a self-identified floater, someone who isn't confined to one social group. He seeks to be kind and a friend to all. Yasser will bounce from a group of friends that are boisterously socializing to go and have a conversation with someone who we noticed was just sitting alone. Yasser wants everyone to have fun and achieve a healthy balance in their lives. Because of this connection to the student body, Yasser earned the honor this year of being the Fighting Tuna, which is an interesting costume. But Yasser always had that inner strength that pushes him to do his best. He is always challenging himself and putting himself out of his comfort zone. Yasser loves to learn. He took 3 science classes this year just because he loves science. His grades were good, but I believe that was irrelevant. His motivation was knowledge. Yasser keeps very busy. He plays soccer for Roeper and on a traveling team. He runs tracks, member of the Black Student Union, film club, fun, and volleyball club. He takes classes online from a teacher in Egypt to study religious studies. Other teachers have commented that with all the activities that Yasser is involved in, he has never missed a beaten class. One of your best qualities is your great open-mindedness. Yasser manifested his cheerful and pleasant personality, which is a real asset and makes him a pleasure to be around. And Yasser isn't afraid to take risks in his work, which often lead him to great and unexpected results. Well, here's the one thing I can tell you about Yasser. He is totally unforgettable. I will miss him coming to my room to say hello. I will miss him drawing his clowns and telling me about his new math. I will miss his charm, his friendliness, his humor, and his determination. And as sad as I am to see him leave the halls of Roeper, I am happy that he will be spreading his joy and love of life to a new group of people as he travels to the University of Toronto to study life sciences. He will impact their lives as much as he has impacted all of us here and as much as he has impacted mine. I'm a better person because I got to know this young man, and I am humbled to present to the world Yasser Yuhas, Roeper graduate of the class of 2023.
A theory is a well-thought-out explanation that brings together facts and hypotheses to make sense of the unknown. And so in this historic moment, I present to you a new theory titled The Theory of Supernova Brilliance, a unique attempt to understand and define the awe-inspiring genius that is Liliana Schechter. One key facet of this theory is how Liliana effortlessly redefines the traditional roles of teacher and student. When I asked teachers to describe Liliana, their words came with a shared exhale. Whew. Kevin, her AP Calculus teacher, shared, "I was glad to help Liliana in calculus, though at times it felt like she was guiding me." Kelly McDowell reflected, "I have had so much fun with Liliana and so many laughs. I love that we can discuss post-structuralist theory and absurd aspects of modern life all in the same conversation. I have no doubt that I've learned as much from her as she has from me." Then I think about the day that I first met you, which was on the first day of our hip hop and sociology course. It was my first time teaching high school students. And Liliana effortlessly summarized and taught the class about conflict theory, functionalism, and symbolic interactionism, all while connecting them seamlessly to our society and hip-hop culture, AKA the entire class. I was smiling wide as I listened to hearing these great ideas coming from you, but in my head I was thinking, I'm gonna have to step my game up just a little bit. I'm sure I speak for all of your teachers when I say thank you for teaching us that we still have so much to learn. Another vital aspect of the theory of supernova brilliance is how Liliana not only delves deep into the subject matter of a class, but that she resurfaces, making it entirely her own. You see, many people might applaud at your final project in my class, which was a podcast-like project that detailed the history and implications of the globalization of hip-hop culture in China through a critical lens. But folks don't know how you came to this final project. We had spent many free blocks outside of class attempting to narrow down your ideas. We spent time just talking and reflecting about our lives and nerding out over theories, and it was here that I saw you as more than a natural academic, but as someone who deeply cares and strives to use your strengths to start conversations to push the world forward. I join Matt Vallis in his praises, confirming you as one of the most brilliant students we've ever taught, and that your multidisciplinary approach and research skills are masterful. To truly grasp Liliana's mind is to witness the perfect harmony between empathy and action. She established the Neurodiversity Alliance in our school, raising awareness of the needs of twice exceptional students. Through her temple, she was connected with the refugee family from Syria, a young mother and 3 children with whom she volunteered to tutor in English. What's most profound about this antidote is Liliana's natural instinct to fall into self-reflection. Her parents recount that she was often awing over the eye-to-eye human-level contact and connection she made with those kids. And while she was nervous to take on the task of tutoring via Zoom, it was her heart that confirmed it was the right thing to do. It's why Liliana's impact landed many more families with her via Zoom, not just for English language instruction, but for her empathy, love, and care. However, even with the theory of supernova brilliance, there still remains parts of Liliana that exude our understanding. Lily Zhu, who is Liliana's Chinese language teacher, shares that not only is Liliana completely fluent in Chinese, but she makes the best baguettes anybody has ever tasted. How does she do it? No one knows. Lily also calls Liliana a star on the stage, and Alex Pedica has named her a director's dream. She gravitates towards challenging plays and roles, including her legendary, jaw-dropping performance of MC in Cabaret. Today, we congratulate Liliana on becoming a theory in motion, a force that propels us towards greater knowledge and understanding of one another. The theory of supernova brilliance encapsulates not only the magnetic curiosity you inspire, but also the way that you push everyone around you to be a better version of themselves. We are grateful for not just your brilliant mind, but your heart. Liliana, as you embark on your journey to double major in physics and theater at Stanford University, your parents want you to keep and use your curiosity and excitement to fly. In pursuit of greatness, continue to find opportunities to live in the moment. May your brilliance continue to shine brightly, illuminating the path to a future filled with boundless discoveries. We will eagerly anticipate the theories you will develop and how you will challenge us to change ourselves and the world around us. Congratulations to the phenom, the embodiment of the theory of supernova brilliance, the Roeper grad, Liliana Schechter.
Good job. Most of us have seen the diagram that summarizes the Roeper philosophy in action. Well, maybe some of us. What guides the growth of an individual? A few of the tenets are challenge, wrestling with high-level intellectual, creative, physical, social, and ethical questions and opportunities. Empowerment, owning one's own education and shaping one's own destiny. And relationships, learning to listen, respond, collaborate, and work through conflicts. Kaysanga Allen epitomizes all of these things. He is the philosophy in action. Even better, he makes it his own, on his own terms, reflecting and expanding upon the Roeper philosophy. Ben Shepard has observed firsthand Kaysanga's ability to be a good role model, not only for younger students, but also for his peers. Kaysanga takes the responsibility of influencing others seriously, recognizing the profound impact he can have on their lives. Ben goes on to reference that this admirable quality, coupled with his determination, will propel him to great heights in the future. Over the years, I've come to appreciate Kaysanga's support for others the most. He understands his audience and tailors his approach to fit. He not only cares for the underdog, he advocates for them. Several years ago, Kaysanga noticed some students that were not treating each other appropriately. This inspired him to develop a senior project where he created an advocacy group and taught a class for upper school students that was rooted in mentorship, restorative practices, and hard but healthy conversations surrounding masculinity. His enthusiasm and focus on social justice has made him a leader for many other students and adults to look up to. Patrick Harris describes Kaysanga as someone who instantly elevates the room the moment he walks in. Kaysanga's unwavering commitment to staying true to himself serves as a guiding light for those around him. As a sixth grade camp chaperone, he exemplifies the change he wants to see in the world, guiding and mentoring students while navigating the space to find affinity with each of them. He consistently serves his community with passion and integrity. Kaysanga's dedication to academic excellence is nothing short of impressive. Barb Lasecki-Webb praises his dedication to academic rigor and admires the high expectations he has for himself and for others. Barb goes on to mention that Kaysanga is the kind of student who would be disappointed if a test were open note because he understands the importance of holding oneself accountable. Kaysanga's achievements speak volumes about his character and his refusal to conform to mediocrity. As Kaysanga was recalling a particularly difficult moment in his life where he was put into a fifth grade class as a first grader, he emphasized that even in the face of adversity, such as being left out of certain experiences, he took decisive action and made a conscious decision to rise above, go his own way, and refuse to be in the back of the pack. Throughout his years at Roeper, he has consistently embraced opportunities for growth and development. In ninth grade, he immediately became involved with our Model United Nations team and has won numerous awards while frequently being one of our most well-researched delegates. Model UN was not just a model for Kaysanga. It was a jumping off point for the real issues he wants to actually, and probably will, change. Friend Asar has known Kaysanga since birth and testifies to his unwavering commitment to friendship and support for those around him. Mentor and friend Mr. Woods points out Kaysanga's family-oriented and in his innate leadership qualities. His involvement in the Real Skills 2 program, where he showcased his comical side and emphasized the importance of having fun, highlighted his well-rounded nature. Mr. Woods emphasized that Kaysanga is dynamic and ever-evolving. When asked about his motivations, Kaysanga would say he is driven by the desire to make the world a better place. He wants to leave a lasting legacy focused on improvement. He aspires to go down in history not just as a good person, but as someone who has made a significant and enduring difference. It's fair to say that he's already created one such legacy here at Roeper. As Kaysanga embarks on his journey to Howard University in the fall, he will continue his quest. He will not just be one agent of change, but he will inspire others to become agents of change who will impact the world. I present to you Roeper graduate, Kaysanga Allen.
way down? All right. You're kind of asking the wrong person for. Oh, there we go. Oh, it's easy. Okay. Is that better? Okay. Hi, Evan. Hello, passengers, and welcome to Flight 2023 bound for Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University. Our flight should be smooth today with clear skies and light winds. We ask that you please fasten your seatbelts and secure all baggage underneath your seat or in the overhead compartments. We also ask that your seats and table trays are in the upright position for takeoff. After the aircraft doors have closed, please switch your electronic devices to airplane mode or turn them off. I am quite sure that if one were to ask Evan Brode what he wants to be, he would not say a pilot. But perhaps I should back up and provide a little context for my statement. It's not that Evan does not want to be a pilot. It is that it's difficult to argue that he is not one already. Evan first put down the landing gear at the unbelievable age of 7 while serving as co-pilot in his grandfather's plane. He completed his first solo flight on his 16th birthday while his peers eagerly looked forward to completing their first solo drive in a car. And now, as a high school graduate, Evan eagerly awaits leaving the tarmac of our school and ascending into the wild blue yonder. Evan's passion for flying makes sense because he is one of the most determined students I have ever encountered. Never content with remaining in place, he wants to improve, to keep moving. If he were to have a mantra, and my guess is that he does, I could see it being, keep moving forward, keep aspiring to new heights, and change course when necessary. No one knows this better than Evan's parents, Ashley and Jordan, who recall that in middle school, Evan started an online computer building company, and before that had an online slime business. They add that by 8th grade, Evan worked with 30 developers from around the world building airplanes for a flight simulator company. The only teenager in the group, his partner was a 40-year-old police officer in New Zealand, who didn't know you were a teenager, right? Ashley and Jordan say, if there is one thing we have learned from Evan, it's that life is short and we should enjoy every minute. He has said this to us for as long as we can remember and consistently demonstrated it in his choices and actions. Our wish for Evan is to keep soaring. When asked what makes Evan a skilled pilot, flight instructor Tim Crawford says, to be a pilot, you must be a sort of Renaissance person. You're expected to know a significant amount of information across specific knowledge areas, from navigation to aerodynamics. Evan's ability to master the knowledge and skills required to be a successful pilot only comes with the focus and persistence that he has shown throughout his life. Tim continues, Evan has many great qualities, but I would say it's his poise and calm nature in the cockpit that stands out to me. Even under pressure, Evan does not get rattled, but rather assesses the situation calmly and makes logical decisions based on what lies in front of him. Evan has certainly faced challenges, but by outward appearances, one would never know it. I suppose this is the pilot in him. I mean, none of us would ever want to hear uncertainty in the voice of our pilot. No. The sense of calm and assuredness of the pilot's voice calms and reassures us, too. This is Evan. Calm, sure, steady. And I know that he will apply all of the lessons he has learned at school, in the communities he has grown up in, and throughout his flight training to his studies at Embry-Riddle and everything he will do in the future. We are all in good hands with Evan at the controls. Congratulations, Evan Matthew Brode.
brings a camping chair to class? Who likes to make spreadsheets for fun? Who was very excited not only about getting a colonoscopy, but watching the video of it? This is Oliver McAnally. For the last 5 years, Oliver has shared with me some of the most uproarious moments in my teaching career. Oliver and I had an immediate connection when he joined my Latin 1 class in 8th grade. I can't even say what it was that we bonded over so quickly, but I think it's our sense of humor. I don't think anyone who knows Oliver doesn't appreciate his witticism and excitement over enjoying some of the smaller things in life. Friend Sophia Milioto stated, "He acts like everything you tell him is the most exciting thing he's ever heard, and he laughs at every joke, even if it's objectively bad." Friend Liliana Schechter echoed this assessment, stating, "He is hilarious in a generous way, laughing at jokes, at everything I say, even when it's not funny." In retrospect, I think this is probably the reason I felt such a connection. He would laugh at all my ridiculous jokes. Although Oliver is courteous to laugh at others' bad jokes, he is able to capitalize on moments which elicit a hysteria in others. If Oliver is doing something, chances are you should ask him because the answer is bound to make you laugh. Once before class, I saw Oliver reading a book. As a fellow bibliophile, I inquired what he was reading. And while I don't remember the name of the book, I do remember Oliver turning to me with this immense smile on his face, excitedly telling me, "It's the worst book ever." To prove it, he even showed me the book's blurbs, which exclaimed intense disapproval. Oliver loves to read so much that he even reads books that are terrible. Although Oliver and I are close, and I've had him in class for 5 years, I was shocked to learn a few things about him when researching for this speech. I discovered that Oliver is quite the coffee connoisseur and enjoys brewing coffee, going so far as to call the school's coffee water. I was also unaware that Oliver is abreast of politics and enjoys discussing socialism. Friend Sophia stated, "Oliver is a big fan of golf, and he likes to go golfing with his favorite politicians on the weekends." That one was a shocker. While I knew that Oliver is devoted to his younger brother Colin, I was surprised that he has a fondness for his pet fish. I was unaware that he had fish, or that he felt so fondly for them. But then, this is an Oliver trait. Hopefully I've given you all an inkling of Oliver's eccentricities. I think my favorite one has been learning from friend Sophia. He treats his books like they're his babies, and he has a special seat in his car dedicated to them. He straps them in with a seatbelt and puts a blanket over them to keep them warm. Friend Liliana confessed that when riding with Oliver in a car, all of his music is downloaded in the car. Not just that, but they're all in alphabetical order. So when you're riding in the car, you'll listen to his playlist alphabetically. As one has probably discerned by now, the copious amounts of idiosyncrasies interwoven into this individual, one can appreciate the size of the book that it would take to encapsulate all of Oliver's quirks. Maybe if it's a bad book, Oliver will read it. Oliver will be attending Bowling Green State University this fall. While he is considering in what field he would like to major, his schedule is full of literary and political classes. I have cherished all of my moments with Oliver. He will forever be seared into my brain, as it was he who introduced me to Trumpy Bear, the plush bear arrayed in patriotic apparel with a signature hairstyle. Of course Oliver would have this. Two. Oliver, so often you have turned many a frustrating day for me into one filled with amusement. Conversing with you has always put me in a good mood and has always ended in laughter. You and I have always been able to see the funny side of life, even during difficulties and tragedies. I hope this is an attitude that remains with you throughout life, as it's much easier to navigate with humor as an ablative of means. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me congratulate Oliver McAnally to 2023 Roeper graduate. Writing a speech for Eddie is a formidable task, yet one upon which I am honored to endeavor. The obligation I feel to adequately reveal the supreme excellence of this young man is intimidating, but I got this. When I first met Eddie, he joined my Latin 2 class in his 8th grade year. Everything that I taught, he absorbed. The excitement in his eyes when coming to class was as cherishable as surprising a child with a new puppy. This one loved learning. Most people who meet him soon discover this passion. He has an innate desire to know and understand. Close friend Caitlin Tietzel said, Eddie can solve derivatives in his head with little to no sleep. When asked what he thought his proudest moment was, he responded, I wrote a program to unscramble an anagram for Jameson's homework. Mother Susan succinctly stated that he has endless energy for learning. Dedicated, driven, respectful, and courteous, Eddie is every teacher's dream. Yet Eddie's most salient quality is not academic excellence and achievements. It is his profound and genuine humanity. Mother Susan replied that her favorite moment with Eddie was when she was at a very low point in her life, stating, he showed great tenderness to me during my cancer treatment. When I mentioned I was craving a brownie, he made some from scratch. When asked of his friends what Eddie's best quality is, Julia Raphael responded, I'd like to mention 2, because they both define how I view Eddie, his unending compassion and his vast intelligence. Friend Peyton Keffer stated, I think Eddie's best quality is his humor and kindness. Eddie is a really kind person and always makes you feel seen. Whenever I hang out with Eddie, I always feel like smiling because he's always cracking a joke or saying something funny. I think Eddie also knows himself very well and will follow his heart. While all agree that Eddie is the physical embodiment of compassion, the other quality that all mentioned was his amazing sense of humor. Friend Caitlin Tietzel stated, our friends and I call Eddie E-Dog. Since I started doing that, Eddie has been calling me K9. It always makes me laugh every time, and it's a funny moment we share every day. Eddie is the type of person who has acquired a lot of inside jokes. I myself will never be able to hear the word framework without immediately recalling the Latin 4 class in which Eddie and another student, Ryan Neisel, made reference to the importance of a good framework on a daily basis. With Eddie, the laughter is frequent and the goodwill is pure. One thing I think that most people are surprised to learn about Eddie is how artistic he is. Class projects were intricate and beautiful. Friend Peyton commented, Eddie is extremely creative and has a wide range of hobbies and interests he enjoys. Eddie is very artistic, even though we don't see that side of him as much. But I think his artisticness shows through a lot of his computer-related projects slash shenanigans. Mom Susan stated, although he doesn't like to sing publicly, he has an incredible voice and a wonderful range. At this point, I wonder if there's anything in which this Wunderkind doesn't excel. But then that's expected from people like Eddie. Heroes tend to excel in most areas. Eddie will be attending Kalamazoo in the fall, majoring in computer science. He would like me to thank his parents, friends, teachers, specifically Kevin, for being a great teacher. Eddie stated that Roeper allowed him to connect with some amazing people, but I think I speak for everyone when I say that Roeper allowed us the privilege of connecting with Eddie. Eddie, I don't think you'll ever understand the profound impact that you have on people. If a person's character emanated light, you would blind us all. Your framework of love and kindness restores my faith in humanity. You've given me, and I'm sure many others, hope, and that's what heroes do. Eddie, you are my hero. I hope you will always be surrounded by the warmth and compassion you emit. You are cherished by all, and it has been an immense honor to be a part of your life. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me in honoring Eddie Pasternak, 2023 Roeper graduate.
Caroline, I'd be lying to you if I said I thought I'd be doing your senior speech when I first met you. You came into my 7th grade class, barely said 2 words for the first few months. It wasn't until about October that I realized you could actually speak. Then I began to notice an increased amount of chatter and specifically giggling coming from the back of the room. Unknown to me at the time, you and another new student, Elise, had been striking up a friendship. This friendship and your growing confidence led you to speaking up much more regularly in my class. But as your teacher, still couldn't get a read on you. Now anyone that knows Caroline knows that she may not speak up as often as some of her classmates, but her facial expressions say everything you need to know. I began noticing Caroline's ever-changing facial expressions throughout each class period. I found myself laughing because some of the faces she made throughout class about anything I or her classmates had said. As a person that often expresses himself non-verbally as well, I appreciated Caroline's silent cues on how class was going. Then about halfway through the year, I got true validation about whether Caroline was actually enjoying my class or not. She actually came and ate lunch in my room. This was the confirmation that she actually did enjoy my class and presence, or else she wouldn't want to spend more time around me. After Caroline began eating lunch in my classroom, I began to see her true personality and formed many of my best memories of Caroline and some of her classmates. Some of those highlights include Caroline judging my food on a daily basis. She often told me my food stunk and made the whole room stink. To be fair, I do enjoy fish and eggs, not the best smelling food. Caroline recreating various scenes from, Caroline and Elise, recreating various scenes from their favorite Disney shows, specifically Good Luck Charlie. Believe it or not, there was singing and dancing involved. Caroline and Elise ruining Avengers Endgame for me by recreating the end scene word for word. Caroline placing gently used Kleenexes in various places around my classroom to essentially show me how dirty my room was based on how long those Kleenexes stayed in my room. Some of them are still there. Another thing I learned about Caroline as I got to know her better was her relationship with Jack, her brother. Although she may be reluctant to admit it, she has a strong bond with her brother and enjoys spending time with him. They enjoy playing basketball and football together, in addition to playing Xbox and PlayStation, specifically Lego Star Wars. This may This is not to say, that they don't occasionally have a sibling disagreement. According to Caroline, she gets very frustrated when Jack plays his music too loud or breaks into song as soon as he walks into her room. She also can't understand how he doesn't enjoy hockey. But to be honest, Caroline, I have to agree with Jack on this one. Football's simply better. As a teacher, I got to witness the sibling rivalry firsthand when they both had my exercise science class. They both would check in almost on a daily basis to see who had a higher overall average. Then they each had the chance to lead the class in a workout, and they both made the workouts extremely difficult. I'm fairly certain they were both just trying to make each other quit. I guess it's fitting that this sibling rivalry will continue next year when Caroline continues her academic career at the University of Michigan, while Jack continues to go to the school down south. Caroline, I sure hope you keep the streak going, because since Jack's been on campus at OSU, Michigan's undefeated in the game. No pressure. Joking aside, I'm so proud of the student that you've become today. I think Jack said it best when he described you as the hardest working person he has ever met and possessing a work ethic that is simply unmatched. These qualities will make you successful no matter what field you choose to pursue. I'm glad I got to play a small part in your journey here at Roeper. Best of luck next year in Ann Arbor. Congratulations, Caroline, 2023 Roeper graduate.
It was after having had the pleasure of reading multiple papers written by Alex Fleming that I offered a suggestion. As he wondered what to write about for our paper in Art of the Argument, I suggested he write about tennis. To this, he responded, "Thank you, Kelly, but I don't always have to write about tennis." It was one of those simple yet profound moments that catch you off guard, a moment that characterizes Alex Fleming perfectly. Alex has a way of expressing wonderfully simple, direct, to-the-point insights. He cuts to the chase. In a world with a lot of noise, Alex's grounded, reasonable, rational approach to life is eminently refreshing. And he was right that day. Even while tennis makes up a large part of his life, it is only one part of the whole. There are many others. In fact, I would call Alex a Renaissance man. His range of interests is rich and diverse, and he's unafraid to go where his mind leads, knowing full well that this is the territory of true learning. And true learning is what he values most. Parents Angela and Jim noticed Alex's desire for true learning from a young age. They recount a story from preschool when another student shared with the class that a stork would soon deliver her baby brother to her house. Alex knew this was not true because his mom delivered babies. So he decided to clarify the situation for his classmates, saying, "That is not what's going to happen. Your mom is going to the hospital and a doctor is going to cut her belly open with a really sharp knife." Jim says he's fairly sure that the teacher cut Alex off right there. Jim recalls another moment in 4th grade. He says, after failing a spelling test that he could have aced with 5 minutes of studying, I asked him about doing his personal best. He responded with, "Dad, can you honestly tell me that failing a 4th grade spelling test will matter in my life?" Jim says, I quietly turned my head with a smirk, withheld my laughter, and thought, this kid already has it figured out. Angela and Jim sum it up this way. Alex has taught us so much. He has plenty of strengths, but his curiosity is paramount. His standard mode of living is be curious. Jim says that attending Roeper supported his curiosity in a way that we are all grateful for. Not many kids say they are thankful for their school every Thanksgiving. That's amazing, by the way. And the combination of curiosity and gratitude sounds like a perfect match for Roeper. Susanna Nichols discovered this perfect match in expository writing. She says, "Before having Alex in class, I knew two things about him. He was an excellent tennis player, and everyone liked him. When he enrolled in Expos, I was somewhat surprised that none of his written work was about tennis." Susanna says that this is when she discovered the depth of Alex's intellect. She finds him to be deeply appreciative of the humanity and effort of his classmates, saying, "Alex knows what it is to work hard and not always be sure of the outcome. This results in a quiet compassion for others and their own strivings." For all of his accomplishments on the tennis court, Alex's strength comes from the way he views each opportunity, not as a match to be won, but as a chance to hone his skills, deepen his understanding of the game, and honor himself and his competitors. When I asked Alex what he values most about Roeper, he said, "The lack of separation between school and life." Alex sees no separation. It is all learning. It is all engagement. It is all life. Alex's pursuits in school, on the court, and in the communities he inhabits are each parts of the whole that make up our thoughtful, insightful, curious Alex. I'll close with one last insight that Alex expressed recently. He said that even while tennis tends to be viewed as an individual sport, he sees himself as a team player. I can't think of a more simultaneously simple and profound way of putting it, of expressing his intrinsic curiosity about life and the world and his abiding sense of humanity. Alex, we are grateful and honored to have you on our team. Congratulations, Alex Joseph Fleming, and all the best to you as you join the team at Kalamazoo College.
That was very good.
The first time I laid eyes on Elise Kane, she was a tiny middle schooler presenting at our faculty meeting. There, Elise put on her master class on how to recognize the signs of an allergic reaction and use the EpiPen alternative, AviQ. At that very moment, I knew that this young person was much more equipped to handle life than any of the adults looking on. Among a sizable group of experienced teachers, Elise was not nervous. She presented everything so clearly and provided support with the hands-on demonstration. When Elise became my student as an 8th grader, I had the good sense to know that although I was her teacher, she would be the one teaching me many lessons during our time together. Elise has taught me flexibility. No, not physically, even though she almost won the limbo competition at Spirit Week this year. When Elise determined that she would need to continue learning virtually, she did not despair. Instead, she leaned on her organizational prowess, set up study sessions with friends, listened to countless online lectures, and excelled beyond our wildest imaginations. Barb Lasecki-Webb was impressed. Elise did a generous portion of AP Chem virtually. Doing this in person is hard enough. Managing this virtually while the rest of the class is in person is exceptionally difficult. Of course, she not only managed it, she mastered it. As a serious academic, Elise would never let something as minor as a global pandemic stand in the way of her learning. Hassan Humadi admired Elise, saying she consistently demonstrates a strong work ethic and a genuine passion for learning. She goes above and beyond in her studies, and her dedication and commitment to her education is truly inspiring. Elise has taught me persistence. Audrey de Gia put it best, stating, "Even though Elise had to do virtual learning for so much longer than her peers, I rarely heard her complain about it. I think one of her greatest strengths is how she can make the best of any circumstance that she's in. No matter what, she's always motivated and hardworking, even when life isn't ideal." Elise also got to work managing her social calendar, investing in her friendships. Caroline Lambert noted that Elise always makes sure everyone is included. She planned watch parties, book clubs, and FaceTimes for homework help. That's right, Even her social gatherings had required reading. It turns out that it didn't really matter what they were doing together. Everyone just wanted to be around Elise, who makes them feel so loved, seen, and optimistic about life. Senior Smith shared that Elise is so joyful all the time. She constantly radiates positivity, and every conversation with her leaves me feeling a little bit happier inside. Elise has taught me selflessness. Claire Martin insists that she always shows up for her friends, citing the time that Elise went to the ER on the day of Claire's birthday, but still managed to attend the party. Taryn Husband echoes this sentiment, saying, no matter what she's doing, she will drop anything to help anybody. Caroline Lambert loves that Elise's supportive nature is combined with a quirky sense of humor, saying she's always there when I need her. She's a wonderful listener because she can listen to people vent and offer witty remarks. Elise's giving nature and commitment have not only been reserved for her friend group. She has been a leader on committees to plan junior senior dinner and prom in order to create special memories for her classmates. On these projects, she naturally takes the lead. She easily sees the bigger picture while thinking of every tiny detail. But I wouldn't describe Elise as detail-oriented. Rather, I would say she's people-oriented. She can anticipate people's needs in a way that is uncommon and reveals just how deeply empathetic she is. Then, once everything is set in place, Elise even puts on the entertainment, like playing the harp, which she has practiced for over a decade. Elise has taught me grace under pressure. Now, as Elise heads to the honors program at the University of Michigan, I am sure she will relish every opportunity to learn and grow. I just hope that those around her are wise enough to pay attention to all of the beautiful lessons that she has to teach them too. It is with great pleasure that I present to you an esteemed Roeper graduate, Elise Madeline Kane.
On behalf of the Roeper School, it is my honor to recognize Roeper graduate Isabel Lily Popper. Thank you.
Let me be clear. You cannot place Taryn Husband in a box. In a society that pressures young people to pick a side, to stay in a lane, to select a single identity, Taryn pushes back, shattering every stereotype and breaking every barrier that stands in her way. Taryn is the beacon of hope that our world craves simply because she brings a refreshing authenticity and individuality to every role she takes and every path she chooses. You see, Taryn is not just a scientist. She is a phenomenon. She conquered both AP history and organic history in a single academic year, leaving an indelible mark on Barbara Lasecki-Webb, her science instructor. Barb has seen Taryn grow into someone who demonstrates commitment and has a strong work ethic while keeping a smile on her face. Barb shared that she is grateful for her own daughter, that she attends Roeper and has a role model like Taryn to look up to as a successful young woman who loves science. You see, Taryn is not just a scholar, she is a luminary. It has been a common theme shared by all of her teachers that Taryn's spirit can turn a class into a community. She has an aura that is positive and uplifting. Matt Vallis shares that during class and discussions, she can be quiet, but it's not that she is disengaged, but instead she is thinking 5 steps ahead, working to tie everything together. Kelly McDowell continues, what I love about Taryn is that while there is no doubt she is a formidable scholar, she is equal parts fun, funny, and engaging, and I believe that Taryn gets it. The true power of intelligence is in its sharing with the world to make the world brighter and better. You see, you are witnessing an equal part scientist and scholar with a true it factor. Her friend Claire Martin shares, I don't know how many people can do as much as she does and do it as well as she can. Behind Taryn's infectious laughter and all the titles she holds, it can be easy to miss that her it factor stems from her journey, not just her destination. Before she was a co-president of the Student Diversity Advisory Committee, Carolyn Lett remembers Taryn showing up to be a mentor to girls in Stage 4. Before she was the co-president of the Black Student Alliance, my first introduction to Taryn was watching her graciously accept a defeat. But that didn't stop her from showing up. It didn't stop her from giving a presentation to BSUs across Detroit about racial health disparities, and it never stopped her from missing a meeting. It is in part because of Taryn's vision of mentorship and genuine relationships that it is more participation from middle schoolers in BSU this year than ever before. Her fellow co-president, Claire Martin, continues that Taryn is intensely loyal and always prepared with a joke or some real encouragement. Senior Smith knows her as a giver, citing that she is the first to ask if everyone is okay and doesn't think twice about giving to others. Alum Courtney Lowry describes Taryn as resilient and outspoken from time to time. What I will miss most about you, Taryn, What I will miss most about you, Taryn, is your outspokenness, but not for the reasons you might expect. Through the lens of true vulnerability, I have witnessed how your outspokenness has the power to uplift and inspire. When juggling all of your passions can be overwhelming, you will stop by my room and say, "Do you have time to talk?" You can see it in your eyes and your posture if something's wrong, but you have no problem sharing your stresses and asking for help. I have also seen the way that you balance genuine care for others while still not compromising your own truths. Most recently, you were really worried about Spirit Week for next year, and we had a conversation in my room, and she told me in a conversation, "I want to ensure it goes smoothly next year. And of course, I'm just a phone call away, but to be honest, I'm not sure if I'll be able to answer. I might be partying." Despite the many roles Taryn takes on, we must refrain from placing a label on her. Whether Taryn's experimenting in the lab or serving on the volleyball court or leading an organization, she is consistently showing us that greatness lies not in fitting neatly in a box, but in breaking free from them. Taryn, as you step into this new chapter of your life, remember that despite the world's attempt to confine you into a single thing, that your black girl magic is just way too bright. The world needs more scientists like you who embrace leadership and scholarship beyond the confines of the lab, all while staying true to friendship and loyalty. No one can ever box you in because you are young, gifted, and black. We are awaiting to see what comes next at Wellesley College, a prestigious liberal arts institution for women in Massachusetts, where you will study chemistry and Africana studies. Can't put her in a box. On your quest to change the world, Taryn, I will leave you with your mom's greatest hope for you. And it is quite simple. She just wants you to remember to be happy in whatever you do. So thank you, Taryn, for being our hope. Congratulations, and I present everyone, Roeper 2023 graduate, Taryn Michelle Husband. Congratulations, friend.
nervous or less nervous? Oh, I'm not more. I first met Jack Schwartz when they were a small, sort of shy but not really, 6th grader. I could tell instantly that this was a bright and quirky young person. Jack is someone who keeps to themselves a lot, but if asked, they will give you all of themselves and more. If you get Jack talking, trust me, they will have things to say. I remarked to Jack last week that even though I'd had him in class for all these years, we'd never really chatted that much. So early one morning, we did just that. And let me tell you, that quiet demeanor in class is a facade. Jack is a person who knows what they like, and it doesn't matter if it's the popular choice. Case in point, one of their favorite movies is Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 3. Still don't understand that. When I asked what music they like to listen to, they responded, nothing anybody would ever know, and then proceeded to talk with great enthusiasm about, yep, some bands I've never heard of, namely the bands Glass Beach and Look Vibrant. Jack told me, the type of music I like is inherently niche in nature because I need to personally relate. Jack is an individual who is intense with their passions, so they take the time to dig a little deeper and seek out things that really speak to them, and I admire that. When I asked Jack what drives them, they said, better expressing myself of who I am to others. Other people have thoughts like, I want to be like this person or I want to be like that person, but that's not who I am. Coming out of middle school, Jack said that they made the decision to show off who I really want to be and have others see me that way. Again, I really admire this strong sense of self and self-knowledge that Jack exudes. Jack told me they love seeking challenges. They, quote, want to find things that send me into turmoil. This is such a fascinating thought, and I think a really admirable trait, especially in today's world where complacency is so easy. During our chat, Jack said a phrase that really struck me. Referring to their desire to seek out challenge and turmoil, they said, it's the destination, not the journey, turning that well-known phrase up on its head. They elaborated that when they're struggling, when they're in that self-sought-after turmoil, they envision the destination. They imagine the pride and the satisfaction they know is on the way from completing a difficult task, and it helps push them through. They mentioned a specific pride in themselves while rehearsing for this year's all-school spring instrumental concert. Jack had an improv solo in a jazz band chart, Ojitos. After a rehearsal, they remarked that they were really proud of how they played and that they hadn't ever felt that way before. And I can confirm, solo was great, and I was very proud of them too. Jack has been through challenges, knows turmoil, and instead of crumpling, they seek out more, and they use it to be all the stronger. I left that conversation very impressed with Jack's deep and self-aware thought process. Jack is also an empathetic soul, which also translates to being a loyal friend. Caitlin Tietzel remarked about Jack, quote, Jack is always willing to help someone with anything, no matter what time. During midterms, Jack spent 6 straight hours helping me with math corrections. Caitlin's favorite memory is driving with Jack. Could be the middle of February, and Jack is driving with all the windows down and music blasting. Conversations and time spent with Jack are so much fun. There's never a moment of awkwardness. Caitlin says, I'm so lucky to be Jack's friend, and I will dearly miss them in college, especially all the cat memes. So, where does Jack go from here? What new challenges will they be seeking? Well, they don't want anyone to know. This would normally be the spot in the speech where I present the graduates' plans for the fall, but in Jack's case, redacted. Regardless of wherever they go and whatever they do, I am confident that they are going to have a positive impact on the world. Roeper Community, Jack Schwartz.
Hi, We only have 3 minutes for you to get a sense of who Ruby McKeever is. So we can't really do that about Ruby. There's too much, so I'll just cut straight to the point. This is Ruby McKeever. Thank you. Oh. Hi, we only have 3 minutes, so we have to pick the single most important facet of Ruby McKeever's life, which is musical composition. The roots of this singular obsession go back to the age of 3, when Ruby's mother took her to see the musical Into the Woods. This set her on a path of fascination with the magic of musicals, the works of Stephen Sondheim, and musical composition and arrangement in general. It led to her being stage manager for 3 Roeper musicals, to writing a song for her Dracula the Musical for our fantasy lit class, and to making exclamations like, "I think Teen Beach Movie would best be analyzed through the lens of the panopticon." It culminated recently in a 16-instrument samba arrangement of the song The Bare Necessities that took her 9 months to compose. And oh yeah, there was her acceptance as one of 3 people who will be in the jazz composition program at Oberlin College's Music Conservatory in the fall. All right, that's Ruby McKeever. Thank you. Oh, wait. Hi. 3 minutes is about 1/3 the time Ruby and her forensics duo partner Vaughn Roycraft had to perform their cutting of the play Constellations, which plays off of the concept of a quantum multiverse, where each new scene is an iteration of a previous one, sometimes with major changes. It's kind of like Groundhog's Day, but all of the scenes are happening at once. So the roots of Ruby's singular forensics obsession go back to the age of 9, when Ruby saw Coach Laura Moore's daughter, Kat, and others perform Star Wars Episode 4, done in the language and style of William Shakespeare. This set her on a path of fascination with the magic of performance, including being in a duo in 6th grade with Julia Raphael, competing with a total of 10 forensics pieces over 7 years, and culminating this year in the state championship with Ruby and Vaughn's duo arrangement of Constellations. Of course, some things are stable across the multiverse. Coach Laura Moore points out that in all universes, all Rubies stand categorically by their perspectives and opinions. As Laura said, when it came to suggestions for interpretations, there were times when Ruby was not going to back down and was always articulate about how and why she made her choices. And everything went through the Ruby test, which was an extensive process where counter-suggestions were challenged like we were defending our doctoral dissertations. She would try our suggestions and then come up with better ways of doing them. All Rubies probably become 9th grade class president, a few of them rep to the board, all brought homemade baked goods to every forensics tournament, created a wonderful stone circle experience for her senior project, and have no appreciation whatsoever for my dad jokes for the past 7 years. Hey, Ruby, what do you call a 3-part solo instrument piece when the one instrument breaks? No. I don't know either, but it's so not a performance. She just taught me what a sonata was, so I thought I'd use it for evil and not for good. Ruby coalesces the multiverse into a singularity of wisdom. Her mom pointed out that Ruby learns the separate parts of things until they merge into a single piece, be it an essay, a performance, or the musicals she will likely create. And all Rubies are wise beyond her years. In Utopian Lit, when she was in 10th grade? 9th grade, Ruby wrote, "I don't think you need good people to form a utopia. I think you need people who are willing to grow toward positivity. Your value as a human should not be based on how much you help others directly, but rather how you help other people grow on their own. Leading through example is a great way to do that. Let other people grow at their own pace while seeing you mature and evolve into a kind, positive, and self-actualized person." Hi. We had and will always have the time and wisdom and joy that, Ruby, you have brought us. This is Ruby McKeever. Thank you.
Hayden Levy is a cool guy. If you know Hayden, you know this. That cool guy that spent last summer as a volunteer with a mobile health unit, vaccinating underserved communities against COVID-19. That cool guy who helps students with homework or devises gym workout plans. That cool guy who reads Russian literature in his spare time and was raised to believe more for others, less for me. In the Roeper questionnaire filled out by Hayden's mother, Gina, she said she wanted 9-year-old Hayden to come to Roeper to develop a love of learning, gain confidence, and prepare for life's challenges. Yes, Hayden contemplating leaving Roeper for a bigger school, but is very glad he stayed. Hayden loves the freedom that Roeper allows and admits that he's still working on the responsibility. Amari told me that Hayden is always there to help his friends. Aristide sees Hayden as a Renaissance man with innumerable niche interests who taught himself how to ski and how to play guitar. That interest in music was evident long ago when his sister Sydney was driving him to school. So intent on playing every national anthem before they arrived, Hayden unplugged the phone until she acquiesced. Hayden proceeded to play as many anthems as possible, relaying something about the history of each country or which song was his favorite. English teacher Kelly McDowell said, while we were virtual, Hayden added a welcome bit of humanity by playing intro music on his guitar at the start of every class. In middle school forensics, Dan Jacob attributed the raging success of The Big Bad Wolf Gets Busted, his duo with Aristide, to Hayden's comedic timing and his willingness to commit to anything. Actually, commitment drives most things in Hayden's life. The task may be insignificant, but the commitment will always be 100%. Hayden's profound sense of fairness emerges in his writings as well as the way he lives his life. Hayden seriously considered a career in journalism, and he would have made a brilliant journalist. Hayden always evaluates both sides of every issue. He is even-handed and fair. In the 10th grade, after a short time in my journalism class, Hayden wrote in his self-evaluation, "Now I'm supposed to talk about an article I liked writing, and honestly, I felt a strong connection to each and every one of my articles. And that is really important because without passion behind a project, it is destined to fail. Journalism's loss is medicine's gain. Last year, a volunteer in the mobile health unit, this summer, an employee. Hayden will once again be in the thick of things, interacting directly with patients in a healthcare setting while gaining perspective on what community members deal with on a regular basis. According to Hayden's father, who is a doctor, this is a great backdrop for Hayden to layer upon as he seeks a future career in medicine. When I asked Hayden what he will take from Roeper to Michigan State next year, he reflects that while at Roeper, he was not hounded by teachers to do homework, so he never saw homework as a chore. Rather, that it is a great feeling being on top of your work so you can define your own success, and that the pursuit of knowledge is a good thing. I am very proud and thrilled to introduce Roeper graduate and very cool guy, William Hayden Levy.
I'll just deal with it down there. Ahoy! Chances are that if you received an email from Maya over the past few years, you received that salutation. What better way can there be to herald the persona of Maya? From impish to contemplative, but always considerate and accepting, Maya is so many things packaged inside an unassuming young woman. Responsible, silly, thoughtful, and creative, Maya forges her own path while helping others along the way. Maya is a fierce advocate of the LGBTQIA+ community. She was the co-founder and co-president of SAGE, the Sexual and Gender Equality Club. English teacher Kelly McDowell beautifully encapsulates Maya's more sophisticated nature, stating, "Maya is one of the wisest students I have encountered. She exudes a groundedness and maturity that is far beyond her years. She is just so comfortably authentic, and her impressive creativity originates from this place, which is why it is so good." While Maya has always been a diligent student, prioritizing her studies, those who know her best are privy to her droll antics, not dull, droll. Friend of 10 years, Caitlin Tietzel, recounted her experience with Maya one Halloween. "I remember getting into her car, which is called the Whip, to go somewhere, and there was just a full-size skeleton sitting in the back seat. That thing scared me half to death. Every time someone talks about Halloween or skeletons, I think of Maya." Maya has the ability to find hilarity in everything. Going over a lesson in Latin 5 about the use of the subjunctive mood with a relative pronoun translated as a purpose clause, the students were typing notes frantically. At one point, I noticed Maya smiling furtively. I asked her what was going on, and she replied, "My notes don't look pretty, and many words are misspelled." That quirkiness extends to every part of her life. The way that she can take herself out of a situation and look at it in a different perspective, as well as articulate what she is thinking so clearly and succinctly, is enviable. While many teachers may know Maya in a more academic sense, her friends are the fortunate ones who can revel in the love and devotion she bestows. Caitlin Tietzel said about Maya, "Every time I see Maya, she always gives me a hug. Maya gives really great hugs, and it shows how much love she pours into others. Maya's best quality is how loving she is. Maya is so genuine and acts like herself no matter who she's around. Maya is unique because she's not afraid to tell other people how she feels." Friend Julia Raphael echoes such esteem for her friends. Maya has a unique talent, her ability to make others fascinated by her own interests. Her passion and creativity that she brings to everything she does is contagious. I'm consistently inspired by her. Maya makes things like coming up with creative answers to questions look easy. Maya faces the turbulent issues of today's world with a stunning grace and tenderness. Usually young women so empathetic and devoted display a more demure demeanor. Not Maya. Julia also stated, "Maya is fiercely independent in a way that has left me consistently inspired and in awe. She is sure of herself, and she has been my role model for many years." Perhaps it is this retaliation against female social norms that another friend described Maya as a gay, scandalous witch, which Maya finds hilarious. Maya's perceptiveness doesn't apply only to the things outside of her life. She appreciates how fortunate her life has been, stating, "I've been at Roeper since the 2nd grade. So a lot of life has been shaped by this school. I think Roeper's small size and its teachers have impacted me the most. I feel like my voice can really be heard in smaller classes, and I value that connection that I have with my teachers and classmates." Maya will be attending Mount Holyoke College next year in South Hadley, Massachusetts. Consistently ranked as one of the most beautiful college campuses in the nation, Maya will continue to enjoy her small class sizes in this private, nonprofit, liberal arts women's college. Maya will be majoring in English and possibly minoring in film. She hopes to become a young adult fantasy writer with a focus on queer character or themes. Maya would like to thank her mom, dad, and Andy for all of their continuous love and support. She would also like to thank all of her friends, both new and old, stating, "You have all helped shape me as a person, and I am grateful that I got to spend this time with you." Maya, you've been with me 5 out of my 6 years at Roeper, starting your 8th grade year in Latin 1, then joining my homeroom in 9th grade, all the way to your senior year in Latin 5. I can't believe I'm not going to see you every day anymore. Your friends aren't the only one who have enjoyed your benevolence and sense of humor. While you leave an indelible absence in my classroom and heart, I am so excited for your greatest adventure. I know that you will thrive in the college environment, and it will inspire you to be an even greater individual. I love you so much, and I am overjoyed that you have shared so much of your Roeper years with me. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Maya Kaisia, 2023 Roeper graduate.
Okay, move up a little bit here. Guess I'm gonna stay there. Aiden, it's amazing how quickly 6 years go by. It seems like yesterday you're getting into my 7th grade science class 20 minutes early and waving to me through the window in the hall. These past 6 years have presented you and your classmates with numerous obstacles, but I've enjoyed watching you overcome those obstacles and become the well-rounded young man you are today. All the while staying true to that nonstop little 7th grader I knew when we first met. See, when Aiden entered my class 6 years ago, I'd been teaching for 8 years. I was naive and I thought I had everything figured out. Those of you that have had me in class know I like to keep things structured and organized. During Aiden's 7th grade year, we still use a now defunct website called Edmodo. As teachers, we were supposed to use this website to keep parents informed, as well as keep absent students up to date with the happenings in our classroom. Well, I used to post a daily agenda with all the different resources and notes we'd be using that day in class. As I mentioned earlier, Aiden had a habit of getting to my class very early and sitting outside. One day he was outside working diligently on something and came into my room with a noticeable smirk. I asked him why he was smirking, and he triumphantly said, I already did the notes and work for today. I looked at him with a puzzled look, and he said, I already did all the work posted on Edmodo. After my initial amazement that a 7th grade student actually did work without prompting, I was a little annoyed. I quickly asked, well, what are you going to do for the rest of class now? And without hesitation, Aiden responded with, annoy you, which he did for the next 45 minutes with his usual barrage of questions. After that day, I made sure not to post the agenda before Aiden's class. Now, I've spent countless hours with Aiden throughout his time at Roeper, and honestly, most of them have not been in an academic or extracurricular setting, actually. You see, basically for his 7th, 8th, and 9th grade years, Aiden spent every morning before school and lunch in my classroom. Other classmates joined, including Michael Talbot, Oscar Vartanian, among others. We had deep intellectual conversations, ranging from the food he ate that weekend to discussing the most recent Michigan football or basketball game. One day, the conversation took a turn towards various eating challenges posted on social media. I shared that my brother and I used to take part in challenges similar to this, and I brought up one that I had trouble completing, the 6 saltines in a minute challenge. Being the competitive person that he is, Aiden was certain he could accomplish this feat. This led to one of my most memorable moments in my time with Aiden, him choking himself on 6 saltines, realizing this challenge was much harder than he had anticipated. Now, in addition to being a standout student, Aiden is also very accomplished on the athletic field, specifically the soccer pitch. Unfortunately, I had never had the opportunity to coach Aiden, but after talking to his soccer coach, Ed Sack, it became apparent that he will be missed. Aiden started his soccer career at Roeper as a talented freshman that lacked self-confidence. Ed described how he would make Aiden take penalty kicks as a freshman because he was the best option they had, but Aiden was very reluctant. Fast forward to his senior year, and Ed never had to say a word. As soon as a penalty was called, Aiden grabbed the ball because he knew he was the best option to take the kick. This confidence led Aiden to be one of the best finishers in the history of Roper soccer and multiple All-State selections. His skill was never more evident than in a game against Huron Valley Lutheran, where Aiden scored 2 goals in just 32 seconds. I don't know if this is a state record, but it has to be pretty close. Another little tidbit that Ed shared was as Aiden grew more confident, he began providing unsolicited feedback about various drills Ed did at practice. This would often lead to Ed growing very frustrated with Aiden, but always ended the same way, with Ed changing the drill to what Aiden suggested, reluctantly admitting he was right. As Ed put it, Aiden was not only a talented player, but he was also had a very good understanding of the game. Next fall, Aiden will be taking his talents to Ann Arbor to attend the University of Michigan, where he'll be majoring in engineering. Aiden, I know I speak for all your coaches and teachers here at Roper when I say best of luck moving forward. Your work at Roper has laid the foundation for a successful future. Congratulations, Aiden, 2023 Roper graduate.
Among our students who are Scouts, few of them advance to the stage where they can pursue the rank of Eagle Scout. In fact, only 4% of all Scouts achieve this title. After earning a whopping 28 merit badges and completing his service project, Michael Talbot earned the highest honor of his scouting career this year, becoming an Eagle Scout, even earning the additional award of an Eagle Palm. A Scout since first grade, Michael has demonstrated many of the key qualities presented in Scout law throughout his career at Roper. Scouts are asked to be mentally awake. Michael is not simply smart. He is introspective, thoughtful, and inquisitive. His teachers note his strong ability to problem solve and an openness to constructive criticism. A Scout must also be trustworthy and helpful, which Michael demonstrates through his job cooking at an Italian restaurant. Not only does he maintain his busy work schedule while managing academics, but Michael has been recognized as one of the most capable and dynamic employees. He has done practically every role that the restaurant needs: cooking on the line, running the pizza oven on his own, closing down shop, and even taking the order of a French couple speaking to them in their native language. Michael takes great pride in his work and is always seeking ways to improve and learn new skills. Scouts are asked to be loyal and friendly. Michael easily forms connections with others, even with competitors, as he has done for years in track. Here at Roper, Michael has created his own troop, friends who he can count on and who really adore him. Yasser Ayuha says that one of Michael's most special characteristics is the compassion that he shows to his friends. He is always ready to do something for any of us. Amari McElwee reminisces about the time spent in what is supposed to be a group study room, but would instead be filled with laughter and smiles. Alex Fleming also admired Michael's social graces, remarking that Michael can always make him laugh. Everyone in our homeroom can attest to Michael's searing sense of humor, even if the jokes are sometimes a little bit spicy for my taste. Whether it's through friendships or more outwardly to his community, Michael's social nature often leads to incredible acts of generosity. Paying for a friend who forgot their lunch money, donating to Forgotten Harvest for our annual Thanksgiving drive, or crafting picnic tables for the lower school campus, the idea of service is something that Scouthood has instilled in Michael. Kelly McDowell marveled, "What I admire most about him are the striking moments of kindness that he has demonstrated in our casual conversations. He has a big heart, and he readily offers it to the people he cares about." Scout law is pretty comprehensive, but it's a little buttoned up. It can't entirely encapsulate the spontaneous force of nature that you see before you. Michael never hesitates, is decisive, and lives life at full throttle. His go big or go home mentality was prominent during Spirit Week when he painted himself green for a day and then was seen roaming the halls in a 7-foot tinfoil hat. His love for something can be all-consuming, like when he worked for hours on mastering one tricky scale for a midterm in band, and his enthusiasm is palpable when he talks about something he loves. Anyone who has heard him talk about the band Avenged Sevenfold can attest to this. Michael lives life with his whole heart. Eagle Scouts uphold the Scout law for life. The tenet that seems the most important and yet the hardest to employ is bravery. Michael, you have faced a lot of challenges during our time together, and you have faced them with unimaginable honesty and vulnerability. And to me, that is incredibly brave. As you head to Michigan State in the fall, I remind you to have the courage to show people your true self. You have so much to give to this world. It is my distinct honor and joy to present to you other Michael and Roeper graduate Michael Andrew Talbot.
We've come here today to mark an important point in the lives for these young people. With these speeches, we honor their hard work and their dedication. But let's not dance around it. We also embarrass them a little bit. It's hard not to, especially for those who may not enjoy being the center of attention, having hundreds of people stare at them for 3 minutes during a speech all about how amazing they are. And in regards to the latter, this speech will be no different, because all who know them know that Annabelle Wilson is an amazing person, and one who really doesn't enjoy being the center of attention with hundreds staring at them. As to the part about embarrassing them, I've decided to share in that a little bit by taking this speech on a different tack. Many who know Annabelle know that they are a lover of anime and anime-style games, particularly the Great Ace Attorney series. They enjoy the series so much they employed a local musician and teacher to arrange music from said game series for alto saxophone, and Annabelle performed this for the Upper School Showcase concert. So with that in mind, we're going to have our own little courtroom session here today. But what are we litigating? Well, Annabelle, of course. In the game, one must answer questions, interview witnesses, as well as use facts and evidence to win the case. So let's begin. The court first calls key witness testimony from Annabelle's brother, Tristan. As Annabelle's brother, I've seen them mature into a person fiercely involved in their own interests, says Tristan. Indeed. Well, surely then, the court asks, this must mean they have no time for family. Tristan goes on to say, I also always come home from Cleveland to find they've carefully curated a selection of videos to show me. I think this demonstrates their love for their family. The court now directs you to Exhibit A, a quote from Carrie Wilson, Annabelle's mother, from Tristan's speech 3 years ago. She says that while the kids were growing up, it was not uncommon to find Annabelle and Tristan snarking together at the TV, or just snarking at anything, really. We move now to longtime friend Kennedy McCarthy. Kennedy says that Annabelle basically got me into drawing because they would draw all of the time in homeroom. Kennedy goes on to say that Annabelle's writing style was always on point. So, we see Roeper community that Annabelle is a gifted artist and an extremely creative mind. Kennedy chimes in yet again. We had this pet turtle named Marvin, who we both really loved. Objection? Relevance? But Your Honor, this is a natural segue into Exhibit B, which speaks to Annabelle's love of animals and their desire to help others. Exhibit B is a note from Brett Norman, volunteer coordinator at New Beginnings Animal Rescue, where Annabelle volunteered. Brett says, do you know what makes a good volunteer? Conviction. You have to want to come in and give up your time for the betterment of others. Many volunteers come and go like the wind, but not Annabelle. They have the conviction I admire in a person. It also doesn't hurt that they're a natural cat whisperer. Objection overruled. As stated previously, Annabelle is an extremely creative person with a talent for art as well as a razor-sharp wit. Our next witness is Roeper English teacher Kelly McDowell, who recalls a particularly stressful point in the beginning of this year where she reassured that Annabelle, yes, they will graduate. Annabelle responded without missing a beat, this year. I have no doubt that anyone in this courtroom who knows Annabelle can hear the exact inflection and tone of those words in your head. So it's time for closing arguments. It is the opinion of this band director turned video game lawyer for a day that we have demonstrated that Annabelle is a fiercely independent, incredibly creative person with intense passions for their interests, but also an incredible friend and deeply loyal sibling. I will greatly miss Annabelle's sarcasm, which is always so perfectly timed you'd think they have a team of writers working for them. I will always admire their tenacity in the face of struggle, as evidenced by their solo performance at the showcase concert in front of a standing room only crowd, as well as learning the drum set basically from scratch for this year. And I know that wherever life takes them, they will make the world better for their presence in it. Annabelle will be attending Bowling Green in the fall with a major in digital arts and a minor in Japanese. Roeper Community, Annabelle Wilson, court is adjourned.
Rachel Wine has progressed more than any other student I have worked with during my tenure at the Roeper School. She has grown from a seemingly shy, introverted student into a captivating performer, a quiet but strong and hilarious leader in our school community and beyond. Rachel has always followed her strong moral compass with empathy and compassion. The Roeper community and I have been so very lucky to witness her engage with and care for others in authentic and impactful ways. Rachel's sister Emma recalls that since she was very young, whenever someone in their family was sick or feeling down, Rachel would take her markers and with 6 curved lines draw what she called a magic rainbow. There was a point when their house was littered with these drawings, sometimes more elaborate than others, but always conveying the same pure love and care. Emma proudly shares that Rachel is as firm in her values and unwavering sense of right and wrong as she is in her compassion for others. She embodies these Roeper tenets to a level that is inspirational. These values are apparent in everything Rachel does, from her leadership roles throughout the Roeper community as a member of Honors Dance Ensemble, co-president of the Jewish Student Union, captain of the volleyball team, member of Student Diversity Advisory Committee, to her watchful care of young children at Roeper Summer Camp. Kendra McDougall, Roeper Hill House teacher and colleague, was impressed with the way that Rachel took the time to observe and absorb, to make independent choices in her thoughtful care of the Roeper campers. Kendra jokes that Rachel successfully took on the most challenging job of all, babysitting and surviving her own kids, Will and Nora. Rachel's natural way with children will undoubtedly serve her as she takes on the position of counselor at Camp Tamarack this summer. I really hope that those campers get a chance to hear the cabin call that Rachel and her crazy creatives bunkmates designed while at their trip to Tamarack in Stage 4. That Crazy Creatives moniker is still accurate in describing Rachel, gifted in both performing and fine arts. She is an unassuming leader in the Roeper dance community, embodying strength, confidence, and dedication to her craft and her community. Rachel has had a passion for visual arts from a very early age, finding her way through summer classes at the Birmingham Bloomfield Art Center to nearly every art class in the Roeper catalog. Jerry Ruddy, beloved lower school art faculty, shared a member of Stage 4 Rachel, who was inspired by the process of creating fabrics. When the iconic fabric designer Ruth Adler Schnee visited and shared her work with lower school students, Rachel was so motivated by her visit. A few years later, she contacted Ruth and interviewed her for her bat mitzvah project. Jerry remembers the lovely connection between 13-year-old Rachel and 90-something-year-old Ruth, who was so very impressed with Rachel's maturity and love of art. I, too, am impressed by Rachel in so many ways. I am overwhelmed by her poised leadership and her active presence in the Roeper community, selfishly impacting positive change with what Mom Emily and Sister Emma call zero ego. I could not have predicted the unprecedented growth that Rachel has made over the past 5 years, or the way that we would become family. She's the first of my triplets. I don't doubt for a moment that she will continue to blaze her trail with her quiet confidence and determination as she pursues exploratory studies at Butler University this fall. Rachel, Magic Rainbow, Crazy Creative Wine, I am so very honored to present you with this 2023 diploma for graduation from the Roeper School. I love you so very much.
Do or do not, there is no try. These words were spoken by the Master Jedi Yoda to a young Luke Skywalker who was filled with self-doubt. I thought of these words occasionally as the Padawan Jake Brody would sit in my calculus class and exclaim, "Ugh." Many times he was accompanied by words, for example, "Oh, derivatives," or "Oh, differential equations," or "Oh, Monday." You know, this was not really the Jake that I had met when he entered Roeper. Well, I didn't meet him then, but Jake entered Roeper as a youngling in first grade. I met him during his freshman year, which was also, again, my first year of Roeper, in our homeroom with Hale. It did not take long to realize Jake's love of Star Wars, fellow love of Star Wars. Includes the original stuff and the new stuff. Jake's favorite droid is R2-D2. Favorite Jedi is Obi-Wan. Favorite non-Jedi is Han Solo. And of course, his favorite ship is the X-Wing class Z-95 Headhunter. It's nice to talk to somebody that knows as much about that as I do. But I would ask Jake, hey, did you see The Last Mandalorian? Or what do you think of Andor? As a matter of fact, next year, I'm not really sure who I'm going to ask about Ahsoka. So I'll have to look you up. Outwardly, it's easy to see that Jake's kindness and empathy to others, but inwardly, he is fiercely determined and shows great perseverance. When Yoda would say, "Patience, my young Padawan," I realized the "ughs" in my classroom meant nothing. He was sizing up the situation. He would look at it, then he would get busy, and he would work it until it was done. For more examples of this, listen to my words from my fellow Master Jedis, teachers. You persevered with frustrations, often having to start over to fix errors. You were a joy to have in class. You should be proud of all your hard work. I love the way you give all new material a shot. It is through this full and vigorous commitment that you are able to not only hone your skills of analysis, but go beyond to build bridges to other fields of study. Jake is thoughtful and experimented a lot throughout the semester. He maintained his focus, even though there were some struggles, but he gained understanding and momentum by approaching the work differently. As spoken by Sith Lord Eric Ambrose, says of Jake, Seeing his improvement on bass over the past 6 years has been a wonderful thing to see. I remember him back in middle school struggling to read the notes, and now he's able to handle anything I toss his way. What I can surmise from all these comments and from the way you actually conquered calculus is that you are reflective, patient, and not afraid to take chances, and you do not back down. You challenge yourself, you thrive, and you succeed. Oh, that sound is not reflection of the real you. Do or do not, there is no try. That is not the reflection of the real you. You are a doer. You, Padawan Jake, have grown throughout these years and gained a confidence in your own ability that you will carry with you. And remember what Han Solo said after he was asked, "Is that possible?" His reply, "I never asked that question until after I've done it." Believe in yourself. You are more talented than you know, braver than you imagine, and more determined than you realize. I believe in you, Jake Brody. I am proud of all that you have accomplished, and I'm glad that I got to know you. If it were in my power, I would grant you the title of Jedi Knight. But instead of the Jedi Academy, Jake will be attending Michigan State University to pursue a career in political science, probably focusing on international relations, a degree worthy of a Master Jedi. Go, study, continue to grow, and pass on what you have learned. Congratulations, Jacob John Brody. You are a graduate of the Roeper class of 2023.
The glimmerings of the magical essence of the Sophia that we know today started to show themselves when she was a student in the lower school. We love greeting Sophia in the morning with her big smile and pig hat, Stage 4 homeroom teacher Jamie Lampy wrote. You heard me correctly, pig hat. A baseball cap with a 3D smiling pig face right on the front of it. And Sophia rocked that thing often enough for the pig hat to make it to mid-year reports. Sophia always finds original and humorous ways to incorporate her interests into her work, wrote art teacher Jerry Ruddy. Of course, her inflatable figure was a flying pig. Sophia credits her memorable pig obsession of the early 20-teens and her Stage 4 ology research project about pigs with sparking her interest in environmentalism and sustainable and ethical agriculture, as well as influencing her to become a vegetarian. Sophia is still passionate about taking care of our environment and the animals that inhabit it. She enjoys working on projects that creatively upcycle materials and divert them from the landfill, like using plastic grocery bag plarn for knitting, making new clothes from reused fabrics, and learning about building with recycled plastic eco-bricks. She loves working in the garden at her church, climbing trees, watching David Attenborough nature documentaries, and making artwork that call attention to environmental issues. Another, less pig-related element of the essence of Sophia also started to peek its way out during her time at the lower school. We've been waiting to watch Sophia emerge as a leader in the classroom, and we feel that we're beginning to see it happen. Stage 3 teachers Scott Vertanian and Dee Blankenberg wrote, Sophia's never been the most vocal person in the room, and this remains true. Impressively, when she's been asked to provide details while working out issues between two friends, she's been able to do so honestly and without fear. This shows that she has a strong moral compass, and we expect to see more of this in the future. Scott and Dee should be happy to know that Sophia has grown into an empathetic, quiet leader who can be counted on to be honest, supportive, and can look out for people's needs without them even realizing that she is. Francina Smith's favorite memory of Sophia is going trick-or-treating with her every year. I was never able to go in my own neighborhood, Senia says, but she welcomed me into her home and allowed me to have that experience, which is something I will never be able to thank her enough for. Adding, Sophia always makes sure you know that you are cared for. Friend Annabelle Wilson agrees. Sophia's willing to do things to help other people, even if it's not something that's really important to her. Director Susanna Nichols recently shared an incident that happened during the review process of a student's writing piece. Nervous about the idea of having the whole class read their work, this student agreed to first work with a smaller set of readers. I asked them who in the class they would be comfortable with, and Sophia was the first person they named. I remarked that I didn't think they and Sophia were particularly close friends, and they said they weren't, but that they felt that Sophia would be candid and constructive about their writing while also being kind and supportive. I couldn't have agreed more. Friendly Harris says that Sophia's best quality is her humanity. Most humans lack it, but Sophia genuinely cares about other people. Teacher Ben Shepard describes Sophia as a quiet conductor of sorts. She is very conscious of the needs of other students, and she works quietly to ensure those needs are met. Sophia chooses her words carefully. She doesn't want to steal the spotlight from others. She never makes a scene, but she always makes an impact, and it's always a tremendously positive one. I'm sure that Sophia will have a quiet but tremendously positive influence on students and faculty at Loyola University this fall, where she will continue to work to protect our Earth as she pursues her interest in environmental science or environmental studies. I'm proud to present Roeper graduate Sophia Miliotto.
During their lower school years, Julia checked out 1,196 library books. That breaks down to about 6 books per week. If that statistic seems at all unbelievable, you have not yet had the delight of knowing Julia Spaghetti Hoover. Watch Julia unload a backpack, and you'll get to know them in short order. Stuffed between class texts and art materials, possibly even the fibers that comprise Julia's current outfit, you'll see the multiple books Julia is devouring for pleasure, genuine pleasure. Ask about any of these tomes and you'll hear cogent and hilariously wry takes on the writing, characters, and plot, and you'll get spot-on recommendations. The 5th season, and This Is How You Lose the Time War, shot to the top of my reading list thanks to Julia, and Dan Jacobs was so taken with Julia's endorsement of the Murderbot Diaries that it's now in the syllabus for his diverse perspectives in science fiction class. Oscar Zakonchek shares, you know when someone loves a book or series and has churned the layers over in their mind so much that you're able to enjoy it so much more? That's the guided exploration Julia gives. And it's a result of their ability to take in the intricacies of a world. Mom Allie has always observed this aptitude in Julia. As a small child, Julia could spot the make and model of their father's car far off in the distance. One small example of how Julia can, in their mom's words, see things quickly that others just don't see. In theater, when Julia started making a transition from on-stage to behind-the-scenes work, this precise attentiveness helped ensure that all the minutia that goes into a show was perfect. Julia recalls, I could look once at the prop table and know something was wrong. Additionally, Julia's outstanding work in the tech booth created the environment for a myriad of Roeper productions. Retired technical director Tari Helmer lauded Julia's ability to master a 32-channel soundboard in 20 minutes and characterized Julia as a controlled tornado, a dichotomy that was critical to the success of many shows. Beyond an impeccable eye for detail, Julia's delight in reading and living also stems from how they revel in the complexities and quirks of humanity and see interconnections across and within stories. Dan observes the power of this trait. Self-understanding, as well as a deeper understanding of others, require what Julia frequently does, but many others find difficult, observing ourselves as objects being studied by other beings. This objective analysis, underscored with compassion, manifests in many ways. Julia's advocacy for neurodiversity and LGBTQ rights has been a component of some of their strongest class assignments and projects. Friend Eli Miller lauds Julia's ability to take any concept to the next level in a way that's enthusiastically inclusive rather than pedantic. Whatever I come up with, shares Eli, it's, I love that idea. How can we make it even more wild? Similarly, unflinching honesty can often feel harsh, but not from Julia. Rather, it's a refreshing break from expected or popular opinions. As Eulalia Ferris says, with spaghetti, you always hear it as it is. Tari shares that Julia is like the best of superheroes, with enough talent and strength to vanquish the villains, but also enough social anxiety to be relatable to us normal folk. So what's next for this superhero? Julia is headed to Hampshire College and has known this was the place for them since they stepped on campus and realized, this feels like my brain. Julia's goal is doctoral studies in cultural anthropology, though Ava Bagney has a more vivid insight to Julia's potential path. Ava sees Julia wandering the lands, pulling random objects from pockets, collecting old artifacts, and shouting loudly from atop a cliff about their historical importance and terrorizing the hoi polloi, all while on the run after robbing the British Museum and returning the items within to their countries of origin. A fierce, detail-oriented person in relentless pursuit of truth and the greater good? That sounds exactly right to me. It is my honor to present Roeper graduate Julia Ann Spaghetti Hoover.
Harrison Klee is the epitome of team spirit. A 3-season athlete during all 4 years of high school, Harrison has earned the title of Iron Athlete. Players and coaches alike view Harrison as a leader, especially when it comes to team spirit. What sets Harrison apart is his ability to embrace mistakes with humor, injecting laughter into moments that could have otherwise been filled with frustration. Harrison might not always be the star player, but he leads by example, and his dedication is unmatched. Aidan Song remembered a particularly difficult run while training for soccer. As they came up to a trash can, Harrison took a slight detour, threw up in the trash can, and then continued running. Harrison is a guy who knows how to rally and is not too proud to have a laugh at himself. His resilience really makes it impossible for anyone around him to make excuses, and his high energy keeps everyone going, even when things are tough. Even though Harrison was always fully booked with the sports, he still somehow made time for other creative outlets and social opportunities, especially during the pandemic. Harrison enjoyed gaming as a way to connect with new people and maintain a team spirit. Dungeons & Dragons has become a favorite hobby, and in true Harrison fashion, he now leads a campaign as a dungeon master where he creates a whole world of storylines and characters, complete with accents for different personas in the game. Harrison enjoys a challenge when it comes to academics just as much as he does with sports and games. Michael McConville remarked that she thought Harrison might leave French after completing the requisite courses for college, but he persevered and completed the entire French program, even becoming the first student ever to earn a perfect score on a final exam. Harrison not only strives to do well in his courses, but he creates a fun atmosphere with his positive outlook and commitment to doing the hard work. Harrison's first block teachers all mention his unreasonable energy levels in the mornings, which really started their days on the right path. It was also no surprise that most teachers commended Harrison's collaborative nature and excitement in class discussions. Harrison's sunny disposition has helped him endure challenging circumstances. He has embraced opportunities that shift his perspective or force him to forge a new path, like going on the DC trip or overcoming the difficulties of online learning. He always sees obstacles as pathways to growth. What's been most impressive to see is how Harrison helps others grow. His selfless nature makes him an excellent role model. Brian Hewitt shared, as a coach, he was a guy that I could trust to lead the younger individuals on the team and always give encouragement. Even though he can find the good in any situation, he's still pretty hard on himself when he makes a mistake. Brian Hewitt also recalls Harrison using a few choice words that often led his teammates and sometimes coaches having a good laugh. But Harrison also knows how to use words to inspire. Yasser Juhas shared that his favorite memory was during halftime at the district final soccer game where Harrison gave a pep talk, which was usually reserved for captains. Yasser goes into the speech and says this about Harrison: "It was very inspirational and instantly pumped up the team. Harrison, you are a role model for us all, and I will miss your frequent and genuine check-ins where you simply ask, 'How are you doing today, Matt?' You've carried the team of Roper throughout your academic career. Next year, you'll have a new team at Purdue where you'll study business. I know you're going to make the most of every opportunity and make amazing memories for yourself and everyone around you. Congratulations, Harrison Klee."
You can't have it yet. Okay. Oops. Alex's mother, Christine, calls Alex, who is the third of 3 Roper graduates, the icing on the Lion's cupcake. Veronica, Alex's sister, says Alex is the best of us. Amari says Alex is a real go-getter, someone who fits in anywhere and always knows when to be mature. Liliana says, I know I can always count on him to be a voice of reason and kindness. Alum Adam Cornier Bridgeforth says, Alex gives the most legendary handshakes in the world. Liliana confirms those handshakes are iconic. Not hiding his light under a bushel, in June 2014, in the year-end letter to his parents written as his stage 3 teachers, Kathy and Susie, Alex writes, Dear Christine and David, your son has been wonderful for 2 years. We want him for a 3rd year. However, Alex did move to stage 4, where teacher Elise called Alex a Roperian through and through. In the classroom, he constantly demonstrated his understanding of the interconnectedness of the Roper community. Someone who was sensitive to others, helping others in need. A stunning example of this is Alex's tenure at Hungry Howie's. Alex started working there before he was 15 and stayed throughout the pandemic. Alex was and is always making pizzas. In fact, he probably did a shift there this morning. Yeah. Alex kept working during COVID, terrifying his family, but certain that as a frontline worker, had he not stayed, his location would have shut down, affecting his coworkers who really needed their jobs. Instinctively a citizen of the world before he actually knew the phrase or its meaning, in stage 4, Alex said, I think about what my actions do. For example, if I walk without a coat and a smaller kid does this too, they might get hurt. I try to be a good role model. Alex has learned significant problem-solving skills at Roper, which certainly helps with the love of his life, working on cars. And it is why Alex would be Aristide's choice on a desert island, because he sees Alex as a savvy survivor who knows how things work and can figure things out. Alex also credits Roper for teaching him how to talk to people, to be respectful and humble, and how to fend for himself. Roper instilled in Alex the importance of listening, and he tries to learn something from everyone he meets. Veronica says Alex treats everyone he encounters with kindness and patience. True. Yet I have seen him when he is infuriated at people who are spineless and take the easy way out. When I asked Alex what was important to him, he said, my family. And when I asked why, he said, because I love them. Alex has really enjoyed his classes at Roper, especially history, because he says you can learn so much from people's mistakes in the past. And the teachers Alex will miss, well, the list was so long that it's fair to say if you taught Alex, you will be missed. Alex told me that success in life to him is independence. Alex isn't certain what he will study next year, and it will be fascinating to see where this next stage at Oakland University will take him. I asked Aristide if Alex is ready to leave Roper. And he paused thoughtfully before he said, "I'm not sure." What I should have asked is, are we ready to say goodbye to Alex? I am honored to present to you Roper graduate Alex Allen.
Julia, you were nervous to give your speech. It was really good.
Thank you.
I mean, really good. I mean, it felt very familiar, and I think you're going to be really excited about this. So, you ready? Yes. Hashtag Roper Kid. No, I'm not kidding, it's right here. It's a slogan that's been around for quite some time at Roper. Admittedly, when I first discovered Roper about 5 years ago, I didn't really know what it meant. Fortunately, I've had the opportunity to spend much of my time since then with the amazing Julia Faye Raphael. Engaging with Julia, watching her grow and thrive, create and succeed on so many levels has helped me to understand. Julia's roots at Roper date back to the first year of Stage 2. Who better to help model what a Roper student is than one who has been here virtually her whole life? When I asked Julia about her experience at the lower school, she said she might not have known it at the time, but looking back, her opportunity for a progressive educational model and her internalization of the Roper philosophy was a gradual development that since then has meant everything to her. Specifically, she cited the bonds created with teachers and friends were very important in her development. It turns out Julia wasn't the only one who recognized the strength of the bonds she was able to forge. Friends since kindergarten, Caitlin Tietzel said, "Julia has made a huge impact on my life. She has taught me how to be confident and have conviction. Julia has a huge heart and would do anything to help others. She is independent and is often the first to volunteer. Most importantly, Julia has taught me how to be a leader." Peyton Keffer describes Julia as empathetic, motivated, and caring. She stated, "Julia is the kind of person who puts her whole heart into her friendships and cares about them with every fiber of her being." Maya Kaisia said, "Julia has not just impacted me, she quite literally shaped my life." It's not just these few friends. Julia has had ample opportunity to impact her peers in the multitude of activities she's engaged in. This list is just a small excerpt of examples demonstrating Julia's leadership, brilliance, and compassion. Student government, senior class president, student-elected Roper Board of Trustee member, editor of Tuna Talk, founder and president of Roper's First Disease Reacher Club, Guidus, violinist, organizer for Bottomless Toy Chest, organizer for collecting toys for pediatric cancer patients, organizer for cards for hospitalized kids, and of course, one of the most important groups she was a part of during her junior year, AP Chemistry. Julia, May 2nd will always be May 2nd. Perhaps her most impressive accomplishment was crafting her senior project, bringing philosophy to Roper students. While her love for philosophy was perhaps seated in lower school, where she voiced a genuine appreciation for equity, acceptance, and understanding, it was after taking a Malone class in medical ethics that Julia's passion for philosophy really flourished. Her senior project consisted of bringing professors from OU and WashU to Roper as speakers on topics like Stoicism and the philosophy of memory and perception. She also worked with Corey to create a philosophy nook in the library, furthering access and awareness to her peers. Julia stated she's most proud of the joy and interest she was able to foster in her peers around topics otherwise largely absent in their high school experiences. Julia will dive deeper into her passions next fall attending WashU. She is already off to an amazing start as she is one of 16 students to be awarded a full tuition ampersand scholarship. This is a unique award for students admitted with plans of study across multiple disciplines. When I asked Julia why she chose WashU, she quoted one of her favorite philosophers' directive for a meaningful life and said, "To be both a philosopher with my eyes to the stars and a biologist with my eyes turned to a microscope." George Roeper stated, "The truly gifted person is one who is capable of revising what is known, exploring the unknown, and constructing new forms." How lucky we all are to have someone like Julia at the helm of future genetics research, guiding the balance between biomedical ethics and the likes of gene therapy yet to be seen. Strong bonds, check. Dynamic interests and skills with a natural propensity for leadership, check. A vision that sees beyond the horizon yet maintains a lens for compassion and equity, check. Hashtag Roper graduate, Julia Faye Raphael.
There we go. My first solid glimpse of how extraordinary a person Senia Smith is was 6.5 years ago at 9:45 p.m. at our school at Roper's Fall Parent-Teacher Conferences, which back in the day were in person. Senia was a 6th grader in forensics, and it was obvious that her parents were enjoying chatting at length with all of her teachers. 10-year-old Senia walked over to me and just asked, "Shall we have my conference?" And so we did. Senia asked how she was doing in the class, what she could do to improve, what she was doing well, what the dates and logistics for the forensics tournaments were. She took the pieces of paper that her parents needed to sign, put them in a folder. Why did you have a folder with you when you and took off, presumably to like run a multinational corporation or something. But it's not just being uncannily mature and responsible that is a wonderful trait of Senia. She is uncannily nice. First of all, she has this aura of nice. The notes from her visit for admissions for stage 2, was it stage 2? Stage 2 back in the day? You were too young to know. She brings a smile to the room, and Elise Kane said 2 weeks ago, she lights up every room she's in. And she can be nice to a fault. Her stage 2 first-year teachers wrote, "Senia is a peacemaker. She seeks harmony in her world and will often choose to smooth disagreements over rather than negotiate a compromise." When I asked her to talk about the organizations she's been involved with, it was always for a nice reason. Helping to coordinate student government's donations to the Pakistan Relief Fund, creating new workshops in sync with current student interest on the Student Diversity Advisory Committee, raising awareness through the Black Student Union, working as a rep to the Board of Trustees to help Roper's future, and of course her senior project for service learning. She's even nice in how she feels about helping others, saying, I'm glad that I've been able to give back to the community as much as it gives to me. It gives me a feeling of fulfillment. I'm sure she even passes, blocks, scores, and spikes nicely in basketball and volleyball. Heck, even her trash talk is nice. Forensics coach Laura Moore said that being her mean self is still the nicest person you will ever meet. Her nicitude was a problem. Nicitude? Did you catch that word? Her nicitude was a problem in forensics when it came to performing the passionate and angry parts of her pieces. Her coaches, we spent countless hours trying to get her to be mad. By 10th grade, she had graduated to slightly peeved, but it took a couple of years to get her there, and now that you can at least act kind of enraged for a few seconds, I feel like our job here is done. Ultimately, Senia has intermingled self-discovery with service to others. Just pages come apart. She wrote, "I learned how to discuss race through an excerpt from The Help, how to analyze love and loss through weaving poems together into a program, and how to convey what living in America means today through the words of Amanda Gorman. She goes on to say, I have found strength in being able to put my thoughts into words, my words into actions, and my actions into results. I try to use my voice as an amplifier, not just for my own feelings and values, but so that people know when they use their voice, undoubtedly someone will listen. When I asked Senia why she decided to attend Harvard, your savior school, right? Was that what it was? Senia said, I was looking for the ways schools give back to their broader community. Harvard's Phillips Brooks House Association is a student-run nonprofit that helps the Boston area in ways the community wants them to, and that really drew me in. So it's no surprise that Senia currently plans to use her Harvard education as a first step toward being nice on a large scale, like internationally large, with an eye on the US State Department and non-governmental organizations. And this is where nice evolves into something greater, working with others to heal communities, parts of our world. While the following words are Michelle Obama's, Senia made them her own when she performed them in 8th grade, and she has grown into them since. We cannot sit back and hope that everything works out for the best. We cannot afford to be tired or frustrated or cynical. When crisis hits, we don't turn against each other. No, we listen to each other. We lean on each other because we are always stronger together. And as at that first conference, Senia's self-awareness gives her a base to work confidently with other like-minded community healers. Senia, we were chatting the other day and you wondered if you would have a completely different personality if you hadn't gone to Roeper. Well, maybe. But everyone I talked with agreed we would have a completely different Roeper if not for you. Your coach Laura and I were talking and we both feel that the confidence that you have is reflected in 2 lines from one of the poems in this year's forensic season. Found womanhood and loved her dearly, found self and loved her dearly. Thank you, Senia, for everything you've given to this community.
I was honored and excited when Caitlin asked me to write her senior speech. This is my only speech in 20 years at Roeper, and I couldn't think of a better person to start with. I first got to know Caitlin in middle school robotics, where her team rose to the top at a RoboFest bottle sumo competition with a robot Papa Wheelie. Caitlin continued to gear up for success as she joined the middle school VEX team and then the high school Okra team. Caitlin's presence always brought us a balance of silliness and organization to our practices, whether it was chasing people around the room with a broom she named Shelly, or organizing and adding style and flair to our competition boards. Caitlin brought her sense of style to our robot beautification too. I still remember middle school Caitlin in a giant bow or flower in her hair and a beautiful grin to match every day. Our robot was sure to have pizzazz, whether it was adding glitter paint or LED lights. Caitlin was not going to let us go on the field unless we were runway ready. Caitlin knows the show must go on, and when the band is playing, the flutes are slaying. Our team went on to compete as a rookie team at FRC during her junior year, and Caitlin rose to the role of co-captain in her senior year for our Okra team. Caitlin is a natural leader. She knows when to jump in and finish tasks that need to be doing, when to delegate to others, when to give praise to encourage others, and when we need to add some playfulness and give us a break and to keep things fun with some timely infused shenanigans. As a coach, I knew I could always count on Caitlin to get things done, even if it meant staying up into the wee hours. Her friend Jameson and co-captain said, the best one thing I can think of about Caitlin was during the Okra competition this year, when she was able to handle the questions from the first judge very well, which probably got us the award. This balance of hard work, care for others, stepping up to a challenge, and a playful approach toward robotics was also evident in her approach to schoolwork, student government work, and friendships. Gwen Hazlitt said, Caitlin is a great friend, and she's really fun to talk to, whether it's a deep conversation about life or just proposing another dumb game show idea. Caitlin is so hilarious that she sometimes makes herself cry at her own jokes. Maya Kaisia, her close friend since stage 4, called Caitlin a great friend who is honest and someone she can lean on. Her sister Olivia called Caitlin an entertaining and compassionate person. Her favorite moments were riding to school with her and singing along to music, and that someday she will forgive her for not letting her play Taylor Swift. She will miss her terribly when she is off at U of M, but she can't wait to see how she paves her own path in the future. Julia Raphael said, "I always have seen Caitlin as the main character. If life was a TV show, Caitlin would be the star. I've watched her handle hardships with inspiring grace and optimism. She lights up a room. I know I can turn to her for anything, be it heartfelt advice, a shoulder to cry on, an answer to a difficult homework problem, or to be cheered up. Caitlin is an amazing person who I know will never gaslight or gatekeep. I am so proud of you, and I can't wait to see what happens on the next season of The Caitlin Show. It is my honor to introduce a total girl boss who I know will always slay the day, Roeper graduate, Caitlin Tietzel."
It's been years since I last had Amari in a classroom, and I can tell you that Amari hasn't changed a bit. The best thing about writing this speech was the hour I got to spend uninterrupted talking with this amazing young man next to me in preparation for this speech. To watch the growth of Amari over the last 10 years has been remarkable. You know that saying, the more things change, the more they stay the same. Well, it has real roots in this young man right here. Always thoughtful, always caring, and never the one to need to be heard. These are the incredible attributes of Amari, and I can't think of any better for a young man to carry with him in life. In fact, Amari hopes to lead in the business world one day, and it goes without saying, I would work for anyone who leads with those characteristics. Amari's time at Roeper was filled with friends. I think that is the one thing that will always be important to him as he moves through life. Every teacher or coach I talked to started with the exact same description. Amari is unselfish, and there's nothing he wouldn't do for a friend. When I asked Amari what he enjoyed the most and what he will miss the most as he graduates, he told me it was being on the basketball team. The joy he took learning from Ryan and Brian, and the appreciation he had for how hard they worked to make him a better player. The camaraderie of being on a team and the pride he took this last year as he watched his younger teammates begin to take over. Ryan Zinzer was most proud of how much confidence Amari's grown into as a leader over the last several years. He's coached him and summed up this growth the best by saying, "In 6th grade, I couldn't get a word out of him. He was the most quiet and shy kid, and this year, I couldn't get him to shut up. I will always hear him yelling, 'James,' from the bench because of how often and how loud he yelled it." Aaron Robinson wrote, "One of my initial impressions of Amari was this kid that likes to have a good time, but knows how and when to be serious. He's the kind of kid I would have wanted to be my friend. He's grown into this combination of swagger, intelligence, respect, and silliness. I remember talking to and advising him on his civil rights project, and just the level of commitment he had to exploring personal and impactful topics made me smile, like I was watching this little kid grow into a man who would have an impact on the world." My memories of Amari exist and intertwine with the worlds of Marvel and DC. Knowing that he and his mom, Latrice, would be the first in line to see every superhero movie, I couldn't wait to get to the theater so we could talk about what happened the next day. This has been a constant over the last decade. Maybe not as immediate, but always a constant in our lives. I decided I would ask one of Amari's favorite characters, through the power of the AI Bard, to write Amari a letter. Hey there, I first met Amari when he was in my science class in the middle school. Even back then, he was fun and thoughtful and a caring friend who never needed to be the center of attention. He's the kind of person who always puts others before himself, and he's always willing to fight for what's right. I know Amari is going to do amazing things in the future. Congratulations, Amari. Remember, with great power comes great responsibility. Use your powers for good, and always remember to help those in need. Peter Parker, AKA Spider-Man. Latrice, you've raised a wonderful young man. Amari will be blessing North Carolina A&T in the fall with his amazing character. Amari, thank you for allowing me the pleasure of being part of your educational journey. I present to you Amari Jaleel McElway.
I have heard that Jameson Garretts has been a troublemaker. At least that's according to Caitlin Tietzel and 10 years of lower and middle school reports. Looking back over the trail Jameson has blazed for himself over the past 15 years at Roper, it's clear that the core of what looked like troublemaking was actually rooted in his boundless energy to explore and learn everything as quickly and thoroughly as possible. In stage 3, Carmen wrote, Jameson continues to devour books, especially fantasy and adventure. And 7-year-old Jameson opined, and I'm going to read this in the voice I hear in my head because I didn't know you when you were 7. Being in a book club is difficult for me because I keep skipping ahead because I don't think I really notice the numbers of chapters, which means it's hard for me to know when to stop. As an independent reader, I'm very, very fast, and I love it. I'd like to get even faster because I want to finish books. Is that close? Okay, cool. This energy was also channeled into Jameson's work and leadership with Quiz Bowl, 4 years on the Roper robotics team, enthusiastic fist bumping, and at least one reported instance of busting out sick rhymes in a rap battle in AP Bio. In a fantasy series that Jameson and I are both obsessed with, Brandon Sanderson's Stormlight Archives, one character states that the most important words a person can say are, "I will do better." And while that might seem trite, Jameson is the embodiment of what happens when someone acts on that idea over and over and over again. You don't just get better at what you're doing, you become, by your own measure, a better person. Jameson says that he's, for example, gotten better at talking to people. His brother Andrew agrees, saying that at first, Jameson would just try to shout people into doing what he wanted, and now he listens and meets them where they are. And Aaron Robinson pointed out that once Jameson was in high school, he had come a long, long way in his intellect and discipline, finally matching up. Caitlin mentioned that Jameson grew into a great leader for the robotics team, taking all the time needed to work together on problem solving and making sure that no one's ideas were trampled. And just as a side note, I was listening to all the different ways people were talking about Jameson, and I asked Caitlin when we were chatting, I was like, well, do you think Jameson is an optimist? And she thought about it, and she said, he's a realist. He keeps his optimism inside, but he's on his way to optimism. It is, in fact, the spirit of teamwork and problem solving that has led Jameson to the University of Michigan School of Engineering, where, among many other areas of focus, he hopes to be a part of the U of M solar car team. This growth is also apparent in terms of who Jameson has become as a person. Matt Vallis mentioned that in Model UN, Jameson brought the focus clearly onto human rights, showing not only that he has a tremendous heart, but also that he understands what it means to be a citizen of the world. And Ruby McKeever says, Jameson always does the right thing. In fact, he makes it a part of his identity to do the right thing. Doing better also tends to leak out and positively affect others' lives. Jameson's senior project focused on modeling and carrying out a community service project, and he leaves a literal living legacy in the form of the garden he created in front of the Birmingham campus. Now, for all my talk about how much Jameson has changed, at his core, he has always been, well, Jameson. In June of 2016, Paula Romano presciently wrote the ending to this senior speech, saying, "These have been wonderful years for Jameson, and we are sad to see our time together come to an end." Jameson embodies the Roeper philosophy. He values diversity, seeks harmony, and cherishes learning. He thrills at the prospect of sharing his wealth of knowledge. He does this without ego and as an authentic gift of learning for those around him, and this has added joy to our days. It has been a pleasure being a part of his educational journey. His daily presence in the classroom will be missed, and I wish him all the best as he continues his journey. Join me in congratulating Jameson Garretts.
Aristide Gardet's mother, Patricia, describes a moment when her son was 3 years old. She says, while playing hide and seek, Aristide would often hide behind a door with his toes sticking out from underneath. I would playfully ask, "Whose toesies are these?" And he would answer right away, "Mine." Bear with me. Of course, giving away his location. Patricia says his raw honesty was adorable. Of course, I can't help but think of the Lacanian mirror stage, which I assume is where all of our minds go instantly, right? No? Okay, well, while my students will find this hard to believe, I promise to be very brief here and just say that for Lacan, the mirror stage occurs when the young child sees themselves in the mirror and recognizes that they are their own person with their own toes. It is when our sense of self begins to develop, and I cannot think of someone with a more grounded, secure, realized sense of self than Aristide. Aristide is the consummate thinker, always aware of himself, his presence in the world, and his place among others. His mentors at Roeper see this. Hale Williams describes Aristide as observant, thoughtful, genuine, and kind. He is moved by Aristide's willingness to think about hard things like race, equity, and justice. Hale also says, Aristide explained sports to me in such a profound and nuanced way that I had never thought of. I felt like I finally understood the meaning of sports for the first time in my life. Susanna Nichols says, Aristide is easily one of the most thoughtful students I've worked with, not only in his approach to academic material, but also in his approach to life. I loved reading his writing for the authenticity and care he brought to his subjects. He also inspired me to listen to a 20-episode podcast on Kendrick Lamar's To Pimp a Butterfly, and I am a better scholar and person for it. Your friends have such wonderful things about you that I must allow them their due. So I've decided that the best organization of their comments is by specific questions. You'll see what I mean. When asked what they consider to be your best quality, Cassandra Allen said, he's very good at stepping back and looking at situations from a bird's eye point of view, making sure to consider all sides of an argument. Alex Fleming said, my personal favorite quality of Aristide's is how thoughtful he is of the people around him. Amari McKelvey said, I think Aristide's best quality is his go-get-it attitude. Once he is committed to something, he takes the time to learn and uses what he learns to make himself better and improve as a person. When asked what makes you a good friend, Cassandra said, Aristide is a good listener. He makes you feel heard. Alex said, I can always rely on him. He stays true to his word and would go great distances to help me out. I can talk to him about anything, and he is able to understand where I'm coming from. He's very good at putting himself in other people's shoes. It's impressive. Amari said, Aristide has always given me advice when needed, always non-biased, logical advice, which is very helpful when there are many emotions involved. He's also a person who will always be there for you when you need it, no matter what the situation is. When asked what they imagine you offering to the world in the future, Kesanga said, Aristide is an innovator with many ideas that would benefit the whole of humanity. He's already doing so when it comes to integrating technology into daily life. Alex said, Aristide has so much to offer the world. I know this because of two qualities, his high ambition and his genuine desire to help people. Put these qualities together and you can change the world. Amari said, Aristide will succeed as an entrepreneur. I have no doubt in my mind about it. With that success, he will help make the world better. As you can by now tell, Aristide has grown and developed greatly since his early days of hide and seek. But I believe, and I think Patricia might agree, that youthful, authentic honesty still permeates all that he thinks and does. In other words, you still recognize that your toes are your own, even while you've become much better at not giving away your location. But we do, in fact, know your location for this fall, as your toes point towards the Ross School of Business at the University of Michigan. Congratulations, Aristide Jan Gardet.
Adam, let's set the scene. You enter Temple Bethel. The vaulted ceiling rises high above you, a yawning chasm opening with a dizzying sense of import. A band is performing a regal march heard in every high school across the nation, and all around you, hundreds here for one purpose, the annual ceremony of graduation. Roll initiative. Those who know Adam know one thing. This young man is a gamer. Though I didn't have Adam in any of my music classes, I did have the pleasure of running a years-long Dungeons & Dragons campaign with him and other students, hence my intro. We started as a quasi-unofficial after-school club right before the pandemic hit, and we kept it going online through lockdown and beyond. Adam always impressed me, not only by his passion for the game and his knowledge, but his ability to look at the rules and find those strange outside-the-box interactions that maybe the designers themselves didn't see. In gaming terms, he likes to break the game, and he's good at it. Adam has such a love for gaming, game design, and D&D that he made it his senior project. For this project, he crafted an entire fictional universe that others could use as a setting for games. This is a large undertaking, crafting a map of the land, inhabiting it with various species of beings, bringing them to life with rich history full of sociopolitics, religion, magic, fantastical creatures. His brother Griffin says, Adam has a strong creative vision and definitely loves sharing it and his ideas. It's no wonder that Adam will be majoring in interactive media and game development at Worcester Polytechnic Institute next year. While D&D and gaming is most assuredly a huge part of who Adam is, of course, there's more. He is kind, compassionate, and has an energy that can be infectious. Jack Schwartz had this to say about their friend. Adam's taste in a lot of things has rubbed off onto me. Quite a lot due to our aligning interests, but also because I can't help but be greatly invested in the things he talks about. He so eloquently presents things he loves and shows his compassion in full force that it's hard not to love the things he loves yourself. This amazingly translates into his compassion and care for friends. I think he's one of the most accepting and comforting people I've ever met without exaggeration. I always feel safe around him, and he works like a beacon of happiness for me, seemingly always knowing the right thing to say, the right discussion to bring up, when to give silence, and when to distract. I owe him so much for giving me one of the best friends I can ask for. Julia Raphael certainly would agree with Jack, having this to say about Adam. Adam is unfailingly generous and kind. He's the kind of person you know wouldn't judge you for any problem, but would rather offer you effective and solid advice. Although I've gotten to know Adam just this year, his friendship has been impactful to me. He is effortlessly intelligent, and I often find myself impressed with how much knowledge he retains without needing to study it. Adam is clearly a creative and intelligent and thoughtful young man. This is evident from his senior project and his inventiveness and ingenuity while playing or breaking a game. To quote the epitaph from the film Metropolis, the mediator between the head and the hands must be the heart. Adam most definitely has the head to think his vision, the hands to make it real, but most importantly, it is quite obvious from the words of Adam's friends that he has the heart to shape his vision with compassion and kindness. I'm very excited to someday play a game developed by this young man. Roeper Community, Adam Hunnicky.
Claire got into MIT and Harvard. So while for most students, nothing more to be said, that would cover all of it, Claire is so much more than that. She is an athlete, activist, Lego extraordinaire, musician, a leader, big sister, and at one point even a speed cuber. Claire has been here so long that I chose to start at the starting point of her journey. She started way back in stage 1, as you can tell because she's one of the last speeches. She still remembers the start of her journey. She was not always the composed, collected student we see now. When she spoke about her first steps of being a Roeper student, she shared that she still remembers that first day. First year, stage 1, being 2 years old. She remembers walking up the hill house and feeling increasingly nervous, but also excited. She ended up having a meltdown after her dad dropped her off, the only Claire meltdown on history, for the forever Claire that is calm. But she worked her way through it, obviously. 3 interesting facts you may not know about Claire. I found it appropriate to add these because Claire is a lover of random information. First, to me and to her mom and to many others, Claire will forever be Claire Bear. Second, for one of her stage 4 pictures, Claire showed up in a fedora, Ralph Lauren sweater, and Michael Jackson gloves. When I asked her how she got this amazing look, her eyes sparkled and she responded, "Laura, this is picture day appropriate Michael Jackson." Finally, Claire is the first to discover COVID's true origins, the Rough Rider mascot costume. She recently established that if we could find that and many other scientific breakthroughs if we swabbed the suit. When Claire came to our homeroom in stage 4, it was my first year establishing myself as a homeroom and humanities teacher. On her first week, Claire turned to me and said, "You know what? I've been here longer than you have." Now, anyone who knows Claire knows this was not her issuing a check, as it would have been the case for many stage 4 students. Instead, it was her way of saying, "Don't worry, we've got this," and we did. Our partnership started there and has continued ever since. From student to player to assistant coach, at times my teacher and mentor, it has been a true honor to have Claire as a partner. When Claire was on my basketball team in middle school, Claire used her gifts of seeing the big picture to offer coaching suggestions. Both wanted and not. When Claire moved on to the A team, rather than giving advice, she started to trust herself and began to believe in herself as an athlete. Her box outs were legendary. I'm pretty sure if you look closely on our gym floor, you can see the marks of a Southfield Christian girl left by one of her moves. Of course, it's Claire, so it was all legal, no worries. Claire's favorite memory as a player was last basketball season when the varsity team beat Huron Valley Lutheran in double overtime. It was her first game back after an injury, and speaking to Claire's grit, she still played both overtimes. She said the game was super successful, but the feeling of winning was incredible, especially since they had lost to them in a buzzer beater the game before. As a student, according to all Claire's teachers and all that know her well, she's remained a hard worker. She's incredibly dedicated throughout her journey at Roeper, leading with grit, perseverance, her sense of humor, and a smile on her face. This is clear that she's a hard worker given where she will be attending school this fall. Claire's favorite class was advanced physics. She will admit it was the hardest class she ever took, but having her closest friends in the class and target runs to break up the long study sessions helped her form even closer bonds. Claire shared recently that her time at Roeper best prepared her for engaging with the world in a responsible and ethical way. She noted that Roeper helped her identify the problems in the world and helped her become empowered enough to do something about them. Every step of Claire's journey at Roeper, I've been proud to be her partner and to be by her side. Her final reflection once again reminds me just how lucky we have all been to be along for her ride. Claire, you're an amazing human. I know you're going to do remarkable things this fall at MIT. We love you. Roeper family, Claire Martin.
Ava Thomas is the kindest, most compassionate young person I have had the honor of knowing. She is my heart. I am in awe of her empathy and her authentic desire to support and positively impact not only her nuclear community, but the world at large. Karen Hines Kennedy, Ava's stage 1 teacher, remembers when Ava demonstrated the important life skill of how to wrap a gift, perhaps foreshadowing all that she would bestow upon the Roeper community. Ava is selfless, patient, insightful, and capable. Gosh, she even had the patience to teach her stage 4 homeroom teacher, Paula Romana, how to knit. It was a feat that Paula hadn't accomplished in her 3 years of trying. Apparently, with Ava's encouragement, Paula was successful in but 4 classes. She is a natural teacher, a mentor to many peers and younger students in our community. Director of Diversity and Community Programs, Carolyn Lett, shared that when Ava asked her to be her senior project advisor, Carolyn's heart was jumping up and down. Ava's project reestablished the Roeper Girls Mentoring Program, which became dormant during the COVID-19 pandemic. As student director, Ava brought together stage 4 and upper school students to create community, authentic relationships, and have meaningful conversations. Her own experience as a stage 4 student was so impactful that she was determined to provide a safe space for current students to experience it too. Carolyn was not surprised at how much support Ava received when over 20 upper school friends volunteered as mentors. She shared that Ava is selfless, all-giving, intuitive, a friend to everyone she meets. Carolyn, and I quote, attributes all the positive accolades that she can think of when it comes to Ava. Ava has been the paramount mentor in the Roeper Dance Department as well, assisting backstage with all of the stage 4 performances. Her poise and patience are unflappable, even amid high stress and big emotions during one particular performance of Annie. I rely on her responsible, nurturing nature and trusting my own daughters in her care. She is not only a beloved caregiver, but a role model, a trusted friend, and a big sister to my Riley and Parker. My 11-year-old Riley asked that I include a deep thank you to Ava for saving the day when her duet partner was ill and unable to perform in the Stage 4 dance concert this year. Ava learned to dance during her truncated lunch period, about 18 minutes, and came straight from her soccer game that evening to perform so that Rye wouldn't miss her final Stage 4 dance concert. Riley shares, "Ava, thank you, and thank you again for making my dance performance possible. You are selfless, and no matter where we are together, you light up the room." A story shared by Ava's Stage 2 teachers, Sarah and Stacy, lit me up. I actually laughed out loud when they shared that Ava and dear friend Senia could often be found in the classroom kitchen, whipping up a daily special and presenting it to their teachers with a check, charging exorbitant prices and laughing uncontrollably when her teachers scoffed at the $3,000 charge for a cheeseburger. Ava, a persuasive young entrepreneur of fine food, is now a successful photographer and artist. She is a social activist, engaged in grassroots politics, eager to affect change. She helped draft a bill known as Breakfast After the Bell, which would continue to provide breakfast for low-income students after the first bell of the school day. Matt Vallis, history faculty and Model UN advisor, shares that I am proud of many students I teach, but I do not think there is a student I am prouder of than Ava. Of course, I am thrilled that Ava demonstrates such passion and action in history and political science. However, I am most proud of how Ava undertakes involvement through her kindness and level-headed approach. Ava's kindness and patience has no limits, whether she is hand-feeding beloved family dog Binks at midnight or mentoring teammates as captain of volleyball and basketball teams. In the final moments of Studio to Stage, Ava's last official Roeper dance class, all of the dancers in the room, each and every one of them, surrounded Ava for a group hug. This 12-person embrace was the physical representation of the love and care Ava has given to her beloved Roeper community over the past 15 years. Ava, we send you off to the University of Michigan with all of our love and support in return. It is with great honor and privilege that I present 2023 Roeper graduate, Ava Thomas. Last night at the junior-senior dinner, I had the honor of sitting with two wonderful families, the Wineses and the Thomases. I was so moved by the love, respect, and humor shared amongst my Roeper family. Irina and Clay sat side by side, two peas in a pod, exchanging one-liners and making me chuckle the entire time. Karen Hines Kennedy remembers that the beginning of Irina's tenure at Roeper and the Stage 1 domes was filled with that same unmistakable family love and connection. Clay would drop off Irina and Ava, his business suit soaking wet with tears, both girls crying to stay with Daddy. After his departure, they wanted to be held only by Karen or her twin sister Sharon, who comforted them as their new Roeper family. Irina adjusted, of course, and she loved Stage 1, and so many of the Roeper community fell in love with her in return, including Carol, who had come down from her admissions office for the sole purpose of seeing that precious 3-year-old Irina. When I first met Irina nearly 10 years later, she was the most confident, articulate 13-year-old I had ever been in discussion with. She gave me my first taste of how profound and complex a conversation could be with an 8th grade Roeperian. Irina is quick-witted, with a clever sense of humor that never misses a beat. She is a deep thinker, generous with her insightful perspectives on topics from mental health to Greek culture. It is this generosity that has impacted the Roeper community for almost 15 years. Kathy and Susie, Irina's Stage 3 teachers, share that they hold a special place in their hearts for Irina, intelligent, compassionate with her friends, and happy to jump into every homeroom project, from the Halloween extravaganza to the writer's corners. That is the Irina I know today, always willing to help, to support, and to lead. Her stage 4 teacher, Laura, shared that Irina, also known as Sunshine, organized a bake sale and class committee after they lost one of their homeroom pets. They researched costs, found a breeder, and successfully welcomed 2 new hedgehogs, Hershey and Laura, into their classroom. 17-year-old Irina is still organized and motivated beyond her years. She is a multifaceted leader in the Roeper community, social media manager for U of M Mental Health Club, volleyball and soccer captain. Her passionate engagement has directly impacted the evolution of the Roeper dance program across both campuses. As a junior, she came over to the Bloomfield Hills campus with her sisters, Ava and Ivana, to introduce my stage 3 students to traditional Greek dance and culture. Irina taught the students with humble confidence, maturity, and patience, a lot of patience. The experience was so well received by the young dancers and impactful to Irina herself that she chose to create a senior project that would continue that work. Irina developed her own curriculum that engaged students in Greek history, culture, and dance. The project culminated in a performance for the Roeper community as part of the Stage 3 Family Night event. And then just last Thursday, during Irina's presentation at the Festival of Senior Projects, she shared that one of her goals was to create connections with the lower school. Wow, was she successful. It is such a joy to see her walk down the hallway as 14 young dancers sprint, not run, for a hug. She has become a legend, a hero, a star to those kiddos who are lucky enough to learn from and be in community with the Irina Thomas. When I asked the Stage 3 dancers to share their memories about their experience with Irina, the theme was clear. They enjoyed learning the dances, but more importantly, they were taken with Irina's kind, clever, patient ways of interacting with them. She had engaged with each student as individuals, differentiated the learning, and even threw away her lesson plans in order to meet the class where they were on any given day. Irina taught her class like a seasoned Roeper teacher and embodied Roeper's philosophy with maturity and ease. And the students adored her. And I adore you, Irina. Irina's upper school homeroom teacher, Kelly McDowell, has memories of Irina ranging from running around the domes to the very last day of AP English. Kelly shares that, like her whole family, Irina has grown up in our community. She is one of us, heart and soul. She is family. Goodbyes are never easy, but they are even less so when it comes to family. Now, I have already promised my girls, Riley and Parker, who were worried that they wouldn't see their big sisters anymore, that this is not goodbye. We will in fact be in Ann Arbor a lot for hugs, lunch, and of course, tea time. Watch out, University of Michigan. You are soon to be swept off your feet by the incomparable Irina Thomas. I am honored to present Roeper graduate Irina Thomas with a diploma and a thank you card from your adoring Stage 3 fans.
"44 months ago, seniors, you began your time in the upper school, each with your own dreams and ambitions. Some of these have no doubt flourished and seen success beyond what you'd hoped for. Others have been reimagined or dashed entirely. But each of you leaves here today ready for whatever comes next in your lives. For while you've faced troubles and triumphs, pandemics and proms, fulfillment and failure, you have also stood tall again and again and found ways to thrive, extending compassion and love not only to your friends, but also to our broader school community and even the world beyond. And that is indeed the point of a great education, to learn from success and challenge alike in order to use your gifts to build a better life for yourself and those around you. This year in particular, you have helped us find our post-pandemic legs, and more importantly, our post-pandemic heart as a campus community. My colleagues, your peers, and I will always owe you a deep debt of gratitude for those efforts. On an occasion such as this, it's tempting to think in terms of ends and beginnings, but in truth, you are in the midst of a journey. You always have been, and you always will be. You walked in here today as intrepid voyagers, and my hope is that you leave here today with a modicum of greater appreciation for the folks who have shared the road with you so far, and of the folks you will share the road with in the future. And no matter how your paths diverge from here, my beloved seniors, I wish you joy and adventure, challenge and serendipity as you continue to traverse this grand high road. You are seniors no more. You are graduates of the Roeper School. Class of 2023, you did it.